the button. Sup, everybody? This is Karak with ACG. Sorry, I'm got to fix something. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I think I fixed it. If I didn't and you can't hear me, give me a heads up. Oh, there were 2 audio inputs, and for a second it might have just blasted their ears. I apologize. Anyway, this is Karak with ACG. I'm here with Silver and Johnny and Reg and Abzy, doing the best video game podcast of all time. Number 313, as you can see in the lower right-hand corner, because I'm amazing with how high effort everything is. I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. I hope you guys had a good weekend. Echo, echo, they say. Hopefully that echo went away as I fixed it. But give me a heads up. I'll just wait for a second. Did the echo fix itself? And while they're sitting there,
it's
anyway.
Fixed.
Oh, it's fixed. Well, we'll talk about it in a second when we talk about Quarry. So you guys probably saw a ton of data. What did we have? We had PC Game Show. We had Xbox.
Yes.
We had Xbox 2.
Summer Game Fest.
We had Summer Game Fest. We had Capcom. We had Ubisoft.
PC Gaming Show.
PC. I thought I said that. Well, okay.
Yeah,
We
I
have
said
PC.
that.
Okay, but we'll say it
PlayStation.
twice. We got PC Game Show again. We got PlayStation. What did PlayStation do?
Callisto showed the state of play thing, but we talked about it last podcast, I think.
Yeah, we covered that one.
Yeah, I think we covered that one. Okay, so
Yeah.
so we got a lot of events that happened. I want to say first, go out there, spread the news that we're doing the podcast. I appreciate it. If you get a chance, give it a like as well.
Yeah. And the Square Enix thing from yesterday.
And
right?
we'll
That's-
definitely cover that because
we can
Final
mention
Fantasy Remix 2 or whatever it's
And
called.
Dragons Dogma.
Yeah,
There we go.
we'll talk about it
Yeah.
for the Capcom one for sure. Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff to cover. First of all, I want to give a shout out, Gene Park. Hope you're feeling better. Gene Park was on the podcast a couple weeks ago, I think, and unfortunately is feeling ill and in the hospital. So wishing him the best. I'm not going to
Much
pretend
love,
like
Gene.
wishing or prayers mean anything because they don't. But that's all I got. I did DM him, but right now he's like doesn't really want to be contacted too much because he's not feeling good. But anyway, yeah, wish him well at the very least.
Yeah.
Awesome guy.
For sure.
Let's see, what else do we have? We've got Xbox. I got Starfield written down. Fallout Futures I want to talk about for sure because they talked about when that will come out versus ESO, and it looks like 2030 was actually like
The ballpark.
hinted at.
Yeah.
Was the ballpark? Yeah, it's pretty crazy. If you guys got a chance and check out the procedural generation discussion I did, thanks to the developers who helped me out with some of that data, I definitely appreciate it. And sorry to Jacob/James for messing up your name. It was Jacob. I said I said like Jeff, and it was Jacob, and I apologize. But Abzy luckily found it and fixed it in the
Yeah,
in the
I did.
edit.
Jacob Asterisk.
which
Yeah.
is awesome. But thank you everybody for watching that. I definitely appreciate it. It got a good number of views and some insanely long retention, and hopefully it will inform our discussion here. All right, so let's move on from there. What are you guys playing? Anybody can go first. Abzy's not playing anything. No, he's playing some stuff because his PC
so
died. But
my PC died. It's at the shop right now. They're fixing it. They're trying to, they're ordering a new motherboard and trying it with that. Maybe getting some more RAM, downloading some more RAM in the shit. Getting a new case maybe. So in the meantime, I launched my PS4 and I have PS Plus, right? So I've been just playing random shit. Tried out Uncharted because everyone loves that game. And yeah, man, it's pretty much it.
excellent. Johnny?
I've been playing The Quarry, which I guess we'll talk about. Reg is also playing that. I also played a little bit of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's always a mouthful to say in English for some reason.
Yeah.
No need. And a little bit of League of Legends there. So that's my.
All right, Reg?
Yeah, The Quarry. I'm on my second playthrough with a friend for the second time. First time I played on.
Is
my
this
own.
what's his name? Sky Days? Or not Sky?
No.
I can't remember his name. Is that the right name?
Death?
Sing Death. Is it Sing Death? No. Oh
No,
darn.
no.
So you're playing that?
And Neon White a little bit.
Oh, gotcha. That got great reviews, by the way. And that's the card
Very
shooter,
fun
right?
game, very high paced, fast paced.
Excellent. What about you, Silver?
Sniper Elite 5 still, Car Shark still, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge as well, which is also our indie game of the week this week.
Well, don't spoiler it, man. What are you doing? People leave now. Sublime 93, $10 super chat. I liked Fracture, a game where you control the terrain, but never finished due to various issues. What other games implemented a unique idea that ultimately fell short due to their other game mechanics? I can give you one right now because I talked about it during that damned video. The Nemesis system in Lord of the Rings. That game had so many good ideas and just a lot of bugs. But I think that's one that could have done a lot better. It did okay for what it was trying to do. What are some other games that have had a system that you guys remember playing?
Watch Dogs Legion, I think,
What?
had amazing. What?
Nothing.
It had a very unique, amazing idea, but the rest of the game didn't grab me because I thought it was just boring when it came out. Yeah. It was like a very interesting and cool idea, but a lot of it fell short for me.
Anybody else have any good examples? I'm just joking.
Ha.
I just liked it more than you. I gave it a weight anyway because of the tech issues. But
Yeah, there were tech issues and there were just like random bland stuff. But now it's been updated upon, and I haven't tried it since.
yeah, you didn't try the zombie mode, right? The zombie.
No.
You haven't done that at all. Are there any other systems that you guys can remember in a game where you were like, man, this could be awesome, and it just sort of fell apart?
So there is one that's not quite unique technically, but No Man's Sky, you can make bases underwater now.
Oh, yeah.
And I had this awesome idea, right? That I was going to have like almost like an iceberg where on the surface I have this tiny thing, but then under it's like a big base, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to create this thing, but it's so janky in how it interacts with the water that stuff was flooding all the time.
Oh,
like,
really? I'm not aware of any of this.
Lots of problems like with underwater building. So this thing that would be pretty unique, like the ability to, fly your ship into a planet onto your surface base and then go underwater. No other game does this. Can't really execute because of like the flooding and different like technical problems there.
Man,
It's funny
I wasn't aware of that.
when me and Karak were playing the whole time, I was like, Karak, let's build an underwater base. Let's build an underwater base. I want an underwater base. The whole
Ha.
time.
Sort of glad we didn't.
Yeah,
least at that time,
I
right?
guess so.
Because if I
guess
get
so, yeah.
frustrated, I have no frustration with that game since we played it. As in, there's nothing stopping me from returning. But if the water stuff had if we had seen that stuff weighs on you, where you're just like, I don't know.
'cause losing a base from that, it's like,
Do you know another one? Remars Turd, but originally the original one.
Turd.
That game's destruction at the time was probably as much
Like a
as
red
they
faction.
could do, but it sort of became one note pretty quickly. And that's probably because the AI wasn't as good at realizing you had destroyed something as you were. Like, there was a lot required of AI. If you can destroy everything in a world, that's asking a lot from the AI to figure out all of its pathing and its plans. And I'm doing an AI video right now, and I was reading up, and especially because our idea of good AI isn't many times even good AI. Like, Fear's AI is not good at all, but it looks good because of what the tricks that they did. Halo's is good, but can appear bad at times, even though it's considered, like, by most very good. Like, you get these weird things. With Remastered, the AI would just crap. It wouldn't know what to do. Silver, do you have any systems that you've really liked in a game, but just frustrated, just sort of fell apart? It's not that they have to be bad, just you would have liked to have seen them step something up.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, though, a few of them sort of come to mind, but
Just
maybe
do one,
Alpha
because we
Protocol.
don't have a ton of time. Alpha Protocol, really?
The way it sort of wanted to integrate its stealth systems into the narrative with
Mhm.
determining like consequences for like getting detected and stuff.
Right.
Unfortunately, like the stealth gameplay itself just sort of fell apart in that game. In a lot of ways, it didn't work very well. Would be my example. Probably.
Isn't it interesting, though, Silver, that, like, it didn't work very well, but almost everybody I know likes Alpha Protocol? Like,
Yeah.
we worked through all that back in the day. Now it's like, whoa. I can build underwater, but there might be problems. I'm done.
Dude,
I ain't playing
old
this fucking game.
Playing old games, there's a lot of shit that's so annoying.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
dying from some stupid shit and having to repeat a whole like puzzle platforming dungeon with like 50 fucking guys shooting at you, that people really didn't. There's a lot of quality of life stuff that's been implemented in games that, make things much more fluid for people. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Set by a filthy casual.
Fucking Silver, dude.
Thank you for the super chat. hopefully that was $10 well spent. I appreciate Super Chat. They keep the channel going. Let's talk about the events. So the first one we had, looking back, would have been Xboxes, right? It was the first one of the week, right? Or the weekend, right? I think it was Xbox, then PC, then Xbox, Capcom, Ubisoft, Sony. Something to that effect. Okay. So the Xbox event. Honestly, other than seeing Starfield farther along, I wasn't really too surprised by what I saw. I liked a lot of stuff. I loved the 2D Sherlock Holmes / Elder Scrolls, or Elder Scrolls, Elder Things Cthulhu game. Was there anything? I mean, does anybody remember anything that was like, whoa, that's surprising? Because I guess I just didn't. I have no issues with the event. I just wasn't like, there was no big new announcement, was there? Am I forgetting one?
Well, visually surprising was was it called, the Pentiment or something?
Yeah,
The
that was
medieval-looking
different,
one?
wasn't it? Yeah, that was
Is
very
that the
different.
Obsidian one?
Yeah, the Obsidian one. Which is so funny that Obsidian had to go out of their way to say that this game is not based on Disco Elysium, which Disco Elysium is based very, very easily, noticeably, on most CRPGs. So, like, I don't know why they had... If I was Bethesda or Obsidian, I would have never even commented on that. I would have been like, dude, we're all making
Do you
games.
think it's because of Jason Schreier reporting that they are doing a Disco Elysium-like game?
Probably, but Disco Elysium-like makes no sense whatsoever. There are thousands... It's basically... Disco Elysium is just simply the narrative turned up more than usual. That's it. That is honest... And I love Disco Elysium, but could anybody say it's not that? That's what it is. That's all it is. And so the idea that they had to defend themselves is sort of weird. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm
I
not
would
even
say
really
that
an
was a surprise, like
Obsidian
that
lover.
Obsidian game.
Looked weird, right?
Looked weird, and it's surprising to me that they're working on so many different IPs at the same time.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that and we figured out it was like 4, right? Like 3 or 4
Yeah,
or 3 or
it was
4
this-
development houses in there.
Avowed, Grounded, and Outer Worlds 2.
And we saw nothing on Avowed at all,
Nothing.
right?
No,
Nothing on
unfortunately.
Fable, right? Nothing on Fable, nothing on Avowed. We saw Grounded with the story content. So that was cool that we actually got to see that. Adam Myth 199 Super Chat. High on Life was a shocker. That looks good. Oh, yeah. Rick and Morty. Yeah, very much so.
Someone looked hilarious.
I
Yeah.
wish it was called Rick and Morty instead of High on Life, because every time somebody says it, I think of, like, you know, some pot smoking Hollywood
Actually,
movie star.
On a macro level, what surprised me was the amount of games coming to Game Pass, like, and even things that have been people were looking forward to, like Scorn, and a bunch of others. Also seeing Atomic Heart and like the 12-month thing was pretty cool. But like a lot of these games coming to Game Pass day one, I think was pretty neat.
Reading some of the chat here. Eldritch theme, yeah.
Wolong as well. That was surprising to me. Sorry.
No, that's all right. There was something else to that name, right? It was Wulong something, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a subtitle to it. I just don't remember off
Yeah.
the top, because I'm getting it confused with Monkey Man martial art game.
Wukong.
So there's Wukong, Wong Hung Lo. There's like all these
Wulong
different
was
names.
Something Dynasty something,
Dynasty
right?
something, yeah. And then Eureka Blade Point got a full story.
Wolong Fallen Dynasty,
Thank you. Yeah.
maybe?
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Reading in here, Benedict Fox, thank you for the reminder. Flight sim helicopters, as well as the Halo ship, the Pelican, which I've been told is amazing. So I didn't know how that would work in Flight Sim, but from what I'm hearing, it's awesome in Flight Sim. So I've got that installed, ready to jump in there.
Yeah,
if I get a
VTOL
chance.
aircraft, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, people love that. Let's see, Flight Sim, more helicopter, shipbuilding. We'll talk about that in a second.
One of the bigger surprises for me actually was with Motorsport, Forza Motorsport.
Yeah. What was the surprise for you?
The switch to heavier sim. I didn't really expect, like, the fact that we're actually finally getting pit stops now. It looks like they the false promise of 7, where they featured like pit stops heavily in the trailer and then they weren't really in the game, was like a massive letdown to me. So the prospect of that coming to the game, prospect of like tire wear, race strategies actually mattering, and potentially like race weekends where you get practice session, qualifying, and then the actual race. Also stuff I'm really, really looking forward to seeing coming to Forza, and that I didn't necessarily expect, because I've sort of been waiting for them since forever. So it's nice to see that it looks like it's actually
Well,
coming.
they said they were going to reboot it, generally soft reboot, so maybe that's, I mean, they also have
And
real-time ray tracing and full day-night cycles that completely go through all the levels. So maybe they're just like,
that really cracked me up.
let's
The way,
do it all at one time.
The way they talked the day-night cycle up, like that hasn't been done in other racing games.
I don't think that was their point, because that would be weird. I don't think their point was like, hey, look at us, no one else has done day-night. That was for Forza, because they even said first time in Forza. I don't think they were...
Yeah.
Like, because that would be like saying, oh, we'll also have microtransactions like GT7, which would be weird.
Not full ass
No,
season,
But I would
right?
love that.
No,
we
I
can
just
beat
had-
them.
I mean, for me, it just, especially as it sort of expanded into even further tech speak, it just sort of that became sort of the implication that we're really pushing the boundary here and stuff.
Well, they are. I mean, there's more than there's ever been in that game.
Talking it up. Yeah, but yeah, it just didn't strike the right note. with me, I
But
guess.
anyway, so they had real-time ray tracing. They had scratches down to the individual, which that really wasn't I mean, I don't stare at the car scratches when I'm driving. So it was cool that they said that they had it, but they all the stuff that they've added certainly appears to me like they're letting Horizon be the arcadey fun laid back game and going more restrictively like sim on Forza. So we'll just have to see how it all works out. They've always had a lot of tech specs and stuff in Forza, but they've never really done a ton with it. So we'll have to see how that's going to work overall. I think ray tracing is probably the biggest one, just because the lighting and how it all works out. It just looks really good. Whether it turns out to be good, we don't know. I mean, those guys know their shit though, right? Like, even if I don't like some of the choices they've made, they know how to make a good racing game. So we'll just have to see if they fill it with microtransactions.
Hell yeah.
Like, that's the thing.
True.
'Cause I mean, every racing game has some type of microtransactions, but Motorsport's been worse than, let's say, Horizon. So we'll have to see,
Yeah.
If that continues.
Speaking of
on.
microtransactions, Diablo 4 actually looked pretty good, pretty awesome to me. The more they talked about it, the more I
Was that in the
interested.
Xbox video?
That was in the Xbox, yeah.
Really?
The Microsoft.
I forgot. Yeah, because it was Xbox Series X footage, right?
Yeah. And there's crossplay and obviously couch co-op and all that stuff. And the way they
Nice.
talk like 150 plus dungeons and 1,000 planet. No, and just open world and all that stuff. Looks pretty fucking cool. But the boss battle with like a ton of players colliding and fighting it. The PvPvE zones. And the way they're reeling back the graphics from a more cartoony look in Diablo 3 back to like D2's more gritty, grimy.
Have we all played
kind of
Resident
feel.
Evil 2? I mean, sorry. Jeez. Diablo 2? Have we all played Diablo 2 here?
Yeah.
I think we all have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we all agree then that it is much more like Diablo 2? Because that's what I took away from it. The main thing I took away from it was that it had gone much more towards Diablo 2. Like graphically, the spells, just the way everything worked. It looked very gritty and
Even
dark
combat, it was way more grounded.
Yeah.
and less over the top.
Yeah, I forgot all about Diablo. Do you guys play Diablo on a console though?
I loved it. Diablo.
I played 3
on a console.
On a
Yes,
360. Yeah.
it was fun as hell. Couch co-op Diablo is way more fun than you'd expect.
Silver, do you
In
do
fact-
Diablos?
Not much. I did play 3 on the Switch. I also played 2 and 1 on PC back.
3
in
was
day.
on the Switch?
But
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great on the Switch, dude.
Really?
It plays
I
great.
didn't even know. I don't even remember that. Okay.
But,
And there was something about the console version too. They had a roll that you could like roll.
Yes.
And
I
the PC version actually never had. Never.
Oh,
don't
really?
have that.
Because I cover that in my review for that in the 360 was I
Yeah,
was
and
rolling
That was awesome.
all the time. Just what were you gonna say, Silver? I think Silver's gonna say something about Diablo.
no, yeah, just that. I mean, I've talked about this before. It's not really my kind of game. I find
Yeah.
it repetitive in general.
Do you like Torchlight or any of those that are in an isometric
Not really, because they all suffer like the same fundamental sort of
Going in,
repetition
killing the guys, going out,
that starts.
getting new stuff.
Yeah, it starts to feel old.
I would agree with that. I mean, I like it and I'll play it, but I'm one of those people that will play it and then just sort of like, okay, that's awesome, and won't return. But what I saw, yeah, that looked great. I'd forgot about that. It was cool to see console footage of it as well. I mean, not that I think anybody questions that the current gen, like the PS5 and Xbox, could do it, but it was still cool to see. Oh, I missed 2 super chats, and then we'll see what else we talked about. Wizard of Smoke, $5. Had a fun Sunday morning hanging with you. New Forza, let's go. Happy Friday and have a beautiful weekend. Streven, $5 super chat. Been watching every Dark Tide video I can find. Casey B, $5 super chat. Case B, sorry. Any favorite demos from the Steam Next Fest? Minus Sulaco. I don't really do demos. Any of you guys do any demos?
I did a couple. I did Cult of the Lamb, which was amazing, which I talked about last stream.
Yeah, Cult of the Lamb got really good.
And I did Metal Hellslinger, which was fun as hell. And it's on my wish list. Yeah.
So are these Steam demos? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
Because I didn't even look this up. Okay, gotcha. And what's...
There's also one worth looking at called Kim, which is basically where you're this little shadow frog that can only survive in shadows.
Do they die instantly in the sun, or is it like slowly losing health in the sun, sort of like... Do you know?
It's pretty quick.
Oh, pretty quick. Yeah, I don't really test demo, or I don't really do demos on Steam. Now that I'm thinking about it. Why was this a big deal? Was it like these games all have demos and that's sort of the thing? Because it's called like the demo week. Is it like just a special weekend? Like I didn't really understand the event.
They do have repeatedly weekends.
Yeah,
like
they have
that
repeated festivals of that sort.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
They had one back in March as well.
Oh, okay. So this isn't a yearly thing.
No, that's where I first played Card Shark back in March.
Oh, a demo of Card Shark was available?
Yeah.
Man, I'm surprised we didn't hear more about Card Shark prior to its release, because that game is pretty phenomenally... It's different. It's phenomenally different, I should say that. Any other demos? They were asking if there was any other demos. I can't think of any that I heard you guys talking about.
There's Angerfoot, which I saw people stream it. It's like a over-the-top kind of postal-ish shooter. And there's like a bunch of other from Devolver Digital shit that came out as demos.
These are demos from this point on until the future when they release, or are they just for the weekend that this demo event goes on? Do you get my drift? Okay.
Pretty sure they're still up. I don't know. Like, I didn't look into like a Steam Fest demo thing. I just saw in Devolver Digital.
Yeah, Digital. From the last Steam festivals, it always varies from demo to demo. Some of them, I would say most of them, are usually just for the festival period, and some of them stay.
Card Shark, this is Avid Gamer, says Card Shark is like nothing I've ever played before, worth looking at. Yeah, I think even Takedown, who got, I think, tired of, well, Takedown get tired of anything after a while. But, I mean, he would, right? Like Takedown would get tired of anything. That dude would call off Christmas if it lasted too fucking long. Like, I've never seen anybody like that. But he was talking it up, even though he was having difficulty later on, because it can get, get challenging. I mean, so that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, like I said last week, I've seen players like stream it where their brains just kind of break in real time.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's good. It doesn't always have to be fed to you, right? The occasional game like that is awesome.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak got a demo for no reason, Hades says, which I wasn't aware of.
That's coming out, I think, the end of this month, right?
The only problem with this, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I know Johnny is a big Monster Hunter fan. Do all the expansions for Monster Hunter usually require you to have got a super high level, like this new one does? Because this new one, they were warning everybody.
Yeah. So not only in terms of having completed the story, but they are tough hunts, and they don't like adjust to your level, right? So you got to be
a certain
on level. Yeah, you need like a certain gear level, let's say, to even participate, and then they're usually tough. So it's.
Do you guys anybody returning to Monster Hunter here?
I am. Yeah, I got my dude to HR 100, so I'm pretty ready for Sunbreak.
Okay, Johnny, I know you're a Monster Hunter fan. Are you returning?
Man, I don't know what it is, but Rise just hasn't grabbed me in the same way. I even got it on PC, and it was a lot better there, but it's just not the same
I gotcha. No, it makes sense.
substance.
Yeah,
you know,
it
like
makes
there's
sense. It's a
something
different
there.
game. It is fundamentally different than, dude.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, there's no way to describe it. It's like some people like it more, obviously, but it is yeah, it's definitely and with the traversal and all that stuff. Some people liked. This is just gonna say. Some people liked running around as like Campbell's soup cans, and they didn't want that quick travel stuff. I know a lot of people I talked to who are like it removes some of the not feeling of threat, but like it's this added combo thing they don't want to worry about. They're more interested in their weapons versus, oh, use your light bug to jump off and do a special combo. And they're like, I just don't, it's not.
It's less methodical.
It's not what I want. Well, I mean, it's, some people say that. I don't know. I mean,
like Monster Hunter World had a lot more methodical like approaches to finding the monsters and discovering shit.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
And this one, it's like more like you go in, you loot your shit, you go to the monster, kill. But I love Sunbreak. Rise. Yeah, I think it's my favorite one.
Tristan Martin, $10 super chat says hi. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah. I need to have like a button that pops up. It's just like hi. I think overall what we got out of all that kind of stuff, I was pretty happy with everything we got from Microsoft's
also,
event.
My biggest one, obviously, of course, Persona 5 PC finally.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, that was a huge
big. That's big.
that was funny because prior to the thing, I was like, they should just buy Sega or Atlas and just put them up there. And it's cool that they did, honestly. I don't know, they obviously didn't buy Sega, but they put these games up on Game Pass.
I think we can also be fair that while Reg may have been interested in 5 or the particulars, I think for a lot of fans, there's a hidden thing that's going on that maybe they don't even realize subconsciously, which is their hope is that means day and date in the future for other Persona games.
Yeah.
And I think that there was no hope in the past. There just was no hope. Until you get a game on there, there's no hope. And now there's a little bit of hope that it's like, they're all plus old games are coming. And because I saw people being like, well, it's good if you didn't play them. Well, correct. That's any game in the universe. If you haven't had sex and then you haven't, it's also now good. So like that's
also good if
yeah,
you
it's also good if you've had sex and you get to have it again. Like to me, it's sort of like trying to deball their excitement. But go ahead.
That's completely true. I mean, that's why Days Gone coming to PC was such a huge thing.
It was exactly because it opened up the hope gates.
Yeah, it opened the floodgates. Yeah, when that game then sold well on PC to show, wait a minute, there is actually a PC market here.
Yeah. Hey, let's real quick before somebody remind me. I want to talk about Sony's titles on PC and what mods they have, because I don't think I've ever talked about Days Gone and if it has mods. So I want to, because I would like to know if there are any. Moving on from there, though, and looking at Xbox and completing it, they showed Grounded, 10 million gamers that we don't know a single one, but there's 10 million out there playing it, right? So Grounded we know it's doing insanely well, but we just don't. I don't think I've ever seen Discord say this person is playing Grounded. Not since it originally came out. But it is true, by the way. I know people be like, that's just Microsoft lying. There's not 10 million. No, there is, because not only are they continuing to do Grounded, but there's expansions. Like, the game is doing well.
They're just not that visible. It's like The Sims.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. And in a way, it's like...
Crew 2.
Or dude, The Crew 2, right? Where you're like, there's still... Is there 3
or
really high-paying whales? Or Counter-Strike, yeah. Well, okay, that one. Counter-Strike is still in top, isn't it? Is it still in the top 20 for like top 10?
So.
Okay.
Yeah, especially in esports,
Right,
but
right.
It's usually, I mean, isn't it like top 3 all the time on Steam?
I think it is. I didn't want to speak out of turn if it's dropped suddenly, but...
Those are the type of games that people play who aren't like all-encompassing gamers, like people who only play CS:GO or people who only play League or people who only play FIFA.
And if you've got your friends on those games and they love them and they're the type who also sit, then it's easier to say. I've actually had friends who sit on an old game and then I return to them to play that old game. I'll be like, oh, you still play this old game? I'll jump in with you and play this old game. But if you're all in that group...
There's an entire community fostered around it.
Yeah. And there has been for like 14 decades, it feels like.
Yeah, there's a whole market community as well, trading and selling and buying weapons and all that shit to it.
So,
it is really interesting that a lot of these biggest like phenomenons in gaming, like Counter-Strike, like Dota, like the Battle Royale, they basically all came from these mods to these original games.
Yeah, exactly. Every single one of those in some way came from a mod. Like, that's what's even crazier. I was just going to bring up that not only Grounded, but Pirates of not the Caribbean. Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves.
Daisy as well. Sorry,
Daisy, but Sea of Thieves. You know, they finally being able to be the captain of your ship, have your own ship. Like that's to those people playing, which there are a shit ton. That is hugely cool.
Yeah, that was something that was initially sort of slated for like the immediate post-launch.
Yeah,
but then
never came, right?
I don't understand what do you mean you could be a captain now? Like,
because in the past you couldn't keep the ship. It wasn't like in the way like this is a ship that's yours. You're a captain of that ship.
What happens if someone steals it or breaks it?
Is it out yet? Because I don't think we can answer that because they didn't show it.
I mean, my assumption would be that what happens to that ship is what happens to every ship. It just respawns.
Yeah, probably right. They wouldn't remove it. That would be the Dark Souls of Sea of Thieves.
You could already customize ships, right? The looks of it or the skins.
You could to an extent, yeah. But
nowhere near what I saw in that trailer, though.
You can't. You can only customize like the outward like skin of the ship and the sails, really, and then like the steering wheel and the guns, the cannons. That's really the extent of what you can.
This one's internals. They were showing all different types of internal.
Very cool.
Yeah, so they had that. Like the one guy had a stateroom looking like what you would see in Pirates of the Caribbean, and then somebody else Caribbean, depending on where you are and how you pronounce it. But yeah, so it's a huge bonus for people because that one's been around for a long time as a hope, and it just never really became a thing. So, $5 super chat. Javier Gonzalez, thank you very much for the super chat. Just here to say thanks to ACG for the vid on proceduralism. Helps bring awareness on the way we artists work sustainably in games. Yeah, you bet. And we will talk about that more. I just don't want to jump to that right now, but we're going to dive into the reason why I'm trying to cover everything Xbox is so that we can jump into Starfield. So, what else? Sea of Thieves, I'm actually excited for. I'll probably never play it again because I get sick. Not because I dislike the game.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, because when I tried to play with you in Purple Santa, and I was pretty into it, and I was just like, I thought I was gonna die. Like I'm such a wussy when it comes. Yeah, it's so weird, but it's
the rocking of the boat.
And the fact that there's no you're looking everywhere because they purposely some stuff is required it's gamified and how you do particular things, which is the way it should be. It shouldn't all just be right in front of you. But after a while, man, I mean, it was bad. And you can tell because I talk a lot. So when we're in a multiplayer game and I start getting quiet, that's when I'm almost always sick. Because it just, after a while, it just shuts you down. And you'll notice it's just, people be like, is there a bad guy there? Mm-hmm. And that's the most you'll get out of me. And
I think
it's too bad.
For me, I love that game is there for whenever it's like, hey, do you want to co-op as pirates? It's like, okay,
exactly.
Always gonna be there.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go do some shit and then bounce off.
And
just go sailing.
Shit ton of content.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. See, that's the thing. It also, I don't care what people can bitch about that game all they want graphics wise. I don't know why they are. Because I think stylistically, Ocean, all that, it's one of the best looking games I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
And it's huge. So it doesn't really have any caveats other than the cartoony look, which is their plan anyway. Like that was their artistic style anyway. Scott is giving us $10 super chat. New PS tier came out this week. Been playing with streaming PS games on my PC. Works great. Trying to figure out how to stream them to my Steam Deck now. Reg, have you tried that?
No, I don't have that subscription.
Okay, gotcha. We'll talk about that. Abzy had a little bit of experience with the PS streams. I think I was gifted a free tier for coverage, and I haven't turned it on. So I will. I
think for me, the reason why I had a really bad experience with it is because I tried Red Dead 1, which already was like low FPS, at the time, 30 FPS and all that shit, which contributed to like me feeling the latency was complete trash. Because I tried GeForce Now. I'm trying a lot of streaming services because my PC is borked. So GeForce Now worked fucking spectacularly for me. But the PS Plus one, it might have been because of the game. I haven't tested a lot, but the latency was like noticeable. So
it could be that. It could be. I
could
think
be because
that
of the game.
But I think in all honesty, what we're actually looking at is most likely it's the fact that their servers have never been good. I mean, have they? Have PlayStation
maybe not here? I've
mean,
never had a good experience here, like in Canada, but
I have a
maybe
lot of
somewhere.
bad experiences with their stuff, and I have like when I do tests, it'll come up as being like, oh, you've got fucking 1 ms latency, like all this crazy shit, and you're like, oh, great, man, this should work out well, and it never did. So if somebody does have a different experience, that's great. It's just not what I have. Let's see what else on. So we had 2D games. We had a bunch of 2D games. You had Moon Shadow or Moon Dude, the 2D Moon Dude game,
exactly.
the Silk Song,
Moon Dude.
Silk Song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moon
So you got
Dude.
what's his name? What is it called?
Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight.
Moon Dude.
Yeah.
Oh, because his face glows like a moon. I have no clue how I got Moon Dude out of that. But anyway, yeah, that game looked awesome, man. Like that game. I mean, obviously that'll be on everything. But still, that's sweet, man. That's cool. Was there any other stuff before we go to Starfield? The lack of Avowed. Let me real quick. Sorry, I got to get this out so I don't forget, Absy. Everybody understand what they showed is not what was in those two graphs. Those two graphs have more games, which is the next 12 months. However, they pretty clearly stated if they're showing it, you will be able to play it in 12 months, which let's all just now go on the idea that Avowed, Fable, those kind of games are minimum 12 months and out, right?
Yeah.
Can we just...
Yes.
That's what we'll agree on. Okay, sorry, Absy. What were you going to say?
I love Limbo and Inside. They're some of my favorite puzzle platforming games, and it's cool to see them take on this new ball game. So it looked like you were just like juggling a bunch of balls and putting them in places, and jumping over things and putting balls in other places. And
what game was this?
I forgot what it was called, but it's from the creators of Inside and Limbo. It's from Annapurna, I think. Right?
No,
Yeah,
Annapurna was. I thought Annapurna was. No, that's
video.
Aurora 44. Sorry. Yeah, you were right. Yeah, because Aurora 44 showed the fox, the Phoenix fox, and the girl, Flintlock, as well. So I liked Flintlock. What I saw Flintlock.
I liked what I saw from Flintlock.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Cocoon
Kinda
is
cool.
the puzzle game.
Oh, Cocoon, which reminds me, what's the game that we
Vagina.
played? We played streaming, and your guy was this big. It was an Xbox exclusive,
Below.
Beyond or Below. Oh my God!
Below.
If for a
Oh, yeah.
moment it looked like that, and I was like, "Oh no,
we
we're
were playing it
screwed."
with our
Wow.
Australian.
We were playing
truck
with that.
driver friend.
Yeah, we were trying. Ben's, I think, is his name.
Ben,
But yeah, the guy from Australia, the truck driving. He's like, "Dude, I can't even see my guy. I can't see my guy. It's that small."
Yeah.
That was funny.
Cocoon looked cool. That's all I can say. Like it didn't. It wasn't amazing.
I like
It just
puzzle
looked
games,
cool.
man, and I'm all for more puzzle games.
Yeah, me too. Let's see.
And the 2D one was the last case of Benedict Fox.
Yeah, dude.
Cooler one.
Cannot
That one
wait.
Fucking looks awesome.
It does. It look and it's the one where at first I thought, oh, he's gonna move really fast and be like what we see in a lot of 2D games, and instead it was a heavier, and then like he dies and maybe makes a deal with like there was some weird stuff going on where he died and it looked like the creatures were like maybe making a deal with him. There's some crazy stuff in that one. That it could be cool or to be one of those games that when you play it, it's just nothing comes together. Because it could be that too. We saw him like do a jump kick on one guy and shoot the other dude, and it was sort of slow. And I was like, it's gonna have to be really good aim. You're like everything's gonna have to come together for this game. But man, it looked graphically, it looked so good. Kojima. Last thing we'll talk about. So Kojima showed his brand new game, and he showed a ton of it. It's just called Kojima. It's just a real life. That was CGI Kojima. It wasn't even a real Kojima. That's the game. That's the game.
It's a meta Kojima.
Yeah, it's an avatar of Kojima. So yeah, I mean Microsoft, got their.
So do you think that
their
would
shit
come
together.
out within 12 months, or was it just like, oh hey, this is a partnership?
It's Kojima. No.
No. Okay. Just
That
making
game might
sure.
be 12 years.
Yeah,
I mean, he
there you
showed
go.
nothing. He did
No.
indicate because of the cloud, he can do what he wants. So I'm assuming it's a Strand game for sure. Like he made it very clear that he talked about social stuff, which I know is a big deal for him. So I'm excited for.
But honestly, dude, if you think about it,
Whatever.
like these Strand type game or whatever would do so well in horror. Like you'd have like this moment of respite when you see like someone else trying to help you. Or
No, the big
or-
thing. Well,
you know
that
what I
too.
mean?
But Absy, I was saying in that when we were watching, I was like, what if you get to see how they died, and that's how you learn, like
Dark
yeah.
Souls.
Yeah, like Dark Souls, but like a full-on, almost like a recording. Like, what if, for example, what if you had
videotapes,
like
scary
found
videotapes.
footage? It's like Absy
Yeah.
died here, and you put it in your
Oh, that'd
little
be so
portable
fucking
VCR
cool.
thing, and you're watching it, dude.
Yeah.
I would kill for that. It just
would be so
depends.
cool.
Considering what some players get up to, I'm not sure I'd want that.
Well, that is true.
Okay.
That is true.
All
That is true. Thanks for deballing the entire discussion. You're right. No, I'm
Or maybe
just,
you can
you,
scare
did, you
others.
didn't, but I get where you're coming from. What were you gonna say, Absy?
Or maybe you can scare others, but
Oh, dude. What if you could adjust the game world in some way, and that's like, what if you could scare somebody or lead bad guys to a particular point so the next guy
Yeah.
comes? Like,
and then instead
Yeah.
of giving people likes, it's like a jump scare meter. where
dude,
it's like,
that
"Oh,
would
I
be
got really jump
awesome
scared."
if it was a jump scare meter and you were like, this was a great jump scare. That kind of stuff. We're coming up. It's obviously going to be none of what we're saying.
None of it.
In
no.
fact, we probably ruined it. It'll be nothing like that. It'll just be Death Stranding, but slightly
It will
black
be
and white
pissing
to be
on the
horror.
same spot again to grow mushrooms.
Right.
Yeah.
Peeing on the baby in the pond or whatever you could do. But yeah, so for Xbox fans, they got two things I think that they've wanted forever: a Kojima game and Persona. Like,
Yeah.
for a lot of fans of the Japanese stuff, Microsoft delivers. People always bitch, but it's like, guys, you bitched about indie, now you got those. You bitched about huge games, now you got those. And you bitched about, and I don't mean bitched as in a bad way. I'm just saying your complaints were obviously loud. And they've got Japanese stuff, which they've always tried. It's just, it appears to be the stuff that people want versus
I think
their
it's also
attempt.
because a lot more people now are playing Japanese games, where prior, Xbox wasn't selling hugely in Japan, so they didn't have much like Japanese games. It's mostly like Western stuff. So
there was one other thing that we were talking about, just looking here. Somebody said Death Trap, but there was one other thing in that. Oh no, don't forget it. What were we talking
well, they showed
about?
TMNT obviously, which came out.
Right, but there was something along the Kojima lines. When he said that, it reminded me of a thing we have. Oh, Hellblade. No Hellblade.
No Hellblade.
Yeah.
True.
12 months
Yeah,
out,
right.
even though somebody told me they thought they saw
Oh, really?
Hellblade on the list. I could be wrong, but if it's on the 2
Maybe.
list, then technically, for whatever reason, they didn't show it.
Maybe they didn't want to. Maybe it's just like, you know what Hellblade is, but we want to show you a new experience when you get it.
But we
Isn't-
did get a little
Yeah,
bit of the Plague Tale. at
Plague Tale
least.
looks good.
That, and I mean,
Yeah.
maybe they also just feel like they've shown what they need to show.
No, that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
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 Silver,
exactly.
I completely agree. I think also at some point you have to say, okay, we could show you Hellblade, which you know is coming, or we can show you
Yeah.
Kojima, which you didn't know was, well, some people didn't know was coming. So it's like, I think everybody else knew, but, at some point, we don't even know what's coming. He's already said he's making something. You still don't know, but go ahead, Silver.
Yeah.
It just especially because I think these days there's an overemphasis on the need for games to show too much almost.
Yes. I
like
agree.
almost showing the entire game before.
Let's talk
Before it
about
releases.
games that maybe show a little too early. Let's talk about Starfield. Let me get this out real quick. That FPS is exactly where I expected a Bethesda game to be this far out. So I know people are worried about the performance, and we'll definitely have to see, because their performance has never been spectacular on day and date. We all hope
Yeah.
it. If they can lock it at 30, I'll be fine. Not that I'll want that. I would rather have it locked at 60. I'm just saying that FPS does not surprise me. And guys, just so you know, if the FPS, I want to make sure this is clear, especially if you follow development. And I've already checked with developers on this. So if you don't agree with me, go talk to the developers who gave me this data. But if the FPS was perfectly locked at this point and they had delayed it like they did, that would be a strong indicator of massive problems somewhere else. And that it was very intelligent. Like we sat down, I was like, listen, man, this is what I get. And they're like, yes, the FPS, we're in the optimization phase. You're in your QA phase. And if those had been perfect, and you would have looked at it and been like, why did they delay it? And then you have issues with questing. You have issues with, is it crashing somewhere? Is it doing some horrible thing somewhere else? And so what I got technically from that was pretty much where I expected it. I would have liked it to have been. I mean, I think we all would have liked it to have been locked. We've seen it with some games. But we've also seen a lot of games show that look terrible, or Watch Dogs that look twice as good as it really looked when it got released. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But long story short, I did a procedural generation video. I do want to tell people, if you didn't watch that video, you don't have to. But one of the things that I was trying to put a kibosh on, there were two. When Todd says 16 times the detail and then says 1,000 planets, I saw a lot of people say they're the same thing. They're not. In fact, they shouldn't really be compared because it makes it sound stupid. One is a comparison of a word against something nebulous, which is 16 times the detail. Like, what does that mean?
As compared to what?
As compared to 1,000 planets, which is very statistical, and you can point at it and say, now we know 1,000 planets. How do we judge those planets versus 16 times the detail of what? Which is, so those two things, I get where people think Todd lies, but 1,000 planets is not a lie. Like, that part we know. We just have to decide how it's going to play out. And looking in the procedural generation, which is used in every game, well, most games, I made a mistake and said Subnautica, because originally the documents I was looking at said Subnautica was going to have creature life that was in some way procedurally generated, but I guess they removed that. So, but all those other games have used procedural. This is something done for a long time. I don't know, guys. I'm not that worried about 1,000 planets, because I did the math, and a lot are going to be barren, right? Like,
yeah, I mean that's okay.
It reflects. It sort of reflects what. Sorry, guys, but
actual universe.
Well, not only that, but this is an exploration game. If they had said it was a travel urban social simulator game where you play a social worker going to people's houses to check on their kids, I would expect to see multiple cities. But they didn't say that. They said this is an exploration game. And do you know what explorers do? They go into the deep dark and almost never return.
Mm-hmm.
Go check.
Can I give my 2 cents on it? Oh shit.
Yeah, we're all doing that. But when you look at Starfield and you look at the procedural generation and you look at what they're doing, I just don't think. I think it's better to be in line with what they're starting to show us and explain versus what our hopes are. And if we can do that for most games, what they showed, I had no issues with what they showed. There was nothing there that made me go, oh no. In fact, there was more there to make me go, oh wow, I wasn't expecting that to be in the game.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Abzi.
So I think Todd left the whole show, and the last thing he said was like the 1,000 planet thing, right? I feel like a lot of people, their first thought was like, okay, that's the content of the game. 1,000 planets, holy shit, that's the content of the game. It's going to be repetitive. It's going to be boring. But when you think about it as more of the context or the setting where the content happens, I mean, it's a space game, and Bethesda are making a game in space, and they've always been leaning more into the immersive sim side of things, where they want you to be able to interact with anything in the map, right? Every game has a map. You go from point A to point B. It's just that this map is just massive, and they don't want to limit it so that it's like, okay, you see all these planets. Oh, well, you can't land on any of them. You can only land on the ones where there's content in there. I don't think Bethesda was ever going to do that. So like them saying, yeah, there's 1,000 planets, you can land on any one, that's the setting, and you have the ability to do that, the option to do that. It leans more into the immersive sim side, and that's fucking sick. Also, I think the point of contention, or like where to be cautious, is like the systems they have in place and the content itself. I think the 1,000 planets like argument thing is like whatever. I think that's just the setting. I think you should be more like asking yourself, okay, what are the systems in place that are going to make that interesting, or the content itself, because that's just where you're going to be, right? So also it's providing a huge playground for modders this time around, not only to populate these planets, but also to put even more procedural systems in place. Because what if you just want to be like, a smuggler or a trader, or you want to interact with that side of the game for a little bit, not everything has to be, even if you play Red Dead or any of those fucking games, in the map, it's not like you're getting content every fucking 2 seconds, every step of the way, right? There's going to be empty spaces between each point of content.
Yeah.
Right? So
I'm going to read this.
It's a Ubisoft game which does not.
I'm going to read
how
this
to shut up.
super chats, and then we can definitely talk about it. Super chats real quick. Dan, $5 super chat. Greetings to the international podcast beasts. Their masterworks all can't go wrong. Oh, we'll be talking about Dragons Dogma. Jalapeno Milk says 1,000 planets is a new 500 hours that Dying Light 2 promised. No, it's not, but I absolutely get why that worry would pop up, because you get these numbers and you're like, uh-oh. But I will say that a tiny city with 500 hours in it, that's an issue. A massive solar system with 100 planets you can land on, or 1,000 planets you can land on, to me is not an issue. They're completely different.
it's just where it's taking place. It's where the game's taking place.
Strevin, $10 super chat. I'm surprised if anyone thinks Starfield won't be just a really fun, interesting game. For all the memes regarding Skyrim, I'll be damned if I hadn't bought it 4 times and played 2,000 hours. And that'll be my point. I'll make it and then let these guys go. So what I did was I asked all my close friends that I know in real life their best experience of Skyrim. It broke down to almost perfectly 50-50. 50% had an amazing story about something within the actual story. fighting one of the major dragons, finding some plot out, or watching Picard die 1,000 times in Oblivion, right? Like, those are the things. Those are story-based things. The other 50%, if not actually a little bit more, but I'll just pretend it's 50-50. It was a little bit more on this side, was procedural stuff. For example, Oblivion, walking over a hill and finding 2 soldiers fighting for reasons you couldn't define. And it felt like shit's happening before you get there, which to me is by far more interesting than Bethesda's stories, which I just got to be brutally honest, are not good. To me, there's quests that are good. I just mean their storyline rarely to me feels fleshed out. Like, go find your son because they're dying or whatever, and then you spend 6,000 hours killing dragons and the son's still dying, and you're like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. So I just want to point that out, that the people that I talked to, their stories were quite well defined in the middle ground that both could be enjoyable, and most of the time they got to one by going through the other. And they always had a story of the other type. So if they told me story stuff, it was like, can you tell me a procedural generated thing you thought you saw? And they had stories most of the time that were between their moment and the story generated stuff. Or if it was the opposite, they had some kind of story bit that they went to. So feel free, discuss as you guys want. Does anybody have anything?
I wanted to follow up on something Abzi said.
Go for it.
Which is the mod thing. And the first thing that I thought with these kind of scarcely populated planets maybe that we can have is, imagine if you have a modder that mods one planet to be like the Attack on Titan planet. So you go there and you have friggin' Titans, right, from the anime.
What if one planet's Skyrim, Johnny?
Skyrim, like, it could be so many things, right?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So as a platform, that was exciting for like modding. Yeah.
So and Karak said something in his video where he cited a person saying the less personality something has, the more personal your time is going to be with it. And man, I'm sorry, but Bethesda games, especially Skyrim, wasn't about the content or the quests. Okay, there were some good quests, some bad quests, whatever. No, it was about having a fantasy playground you could do shit in. It's been about, and they provide you with like the ability to interact with stuff. If you're going around and you're like, okay, there's like 999 planets I can't land on, but one of them has the content I'm landing on. It'll feel like in Cyberpunk where it's like, okay, I go to this bar and I can't sit and drink, right? Also, it's some people say, okay, I'd rather 20 planets. Do you know how fucking big a planet is? If it was 20 planets, 5 planets, 1,000 planets, it would all be the same. There's always going to be a ton of procedural generation to cover a vast area. It's not going to make much of a difference. It's just the setting of the game is in that massive galaxy. And from point A to point B, there's going to be barren shit. Do you want to go down and like just look at the view or do something or mine? Sure. But it's not going to be like, it's just going from point A to point B. Yeah.
Do we know if like the planets are going to be completely explorable, or if they are going to be like hub?
They are 100% explorable.
Okay.
Yeah, but Bethesda was never going to make a space game and limit it to like hub worlds.
That's like, not what Bethesda
Outer
does. Worlds, I think, is that, right?
Outer
I think we can all agree that Outer Worlds.
I mean, that is like kind of what Bethesda does. That's what they do with their cities.
But that's not what they're doing with this.
No.
I think the only reason, Silver, is because they finally got the technology that they want to do this.
Right.
I think. I don't know if that's true. I wanted to ask Reg, do you have any thoughts on any of this?
Well, I've only played by comparison through Skyrim once, and that's like ages ago. But I would say my experience was pretty much what Epsi said. It was a perfect playground for me back when I played it. I really enjoyed the game for exactly that. No matter where you went, there was also always something to discover, to come across. Maybe some quest NPC, maybe a cave to walk into and explore. It was just a great fantasy playground. And if they give us something like that again, but set in space, which is my preferred genre anyway, then for sure, I'm all on board.
Hey, Reg, Henry just added something. They said, I'm hoping for buildable space stations. That'll be a mod if it doesn't come from them.
For sure.
I didn't even think about that.
I'm not sure. I thought I had seen like a transport ship.
There
the
is.
trailer,
You
but
know,
I'm
you
not
did
sure
see
if I
that.
did.
You did see that because there was a boarding
So-
moment where it said you can board,
So if
walk
it's
around.
not something that's already in game as a playable thing, then I
And
would
they show-
expect that
yeah.
to be
Yeah,
one of the
an
first
expansion or
modern
something.
And they did
things.
show space stations for sure. And they showed boardable planets, or boardable ship as well. And then wait a minute. It's Todd Howard, Pete Hines. Pete Hines did indicate you can steal people's ships as well.
And
So-
Todd Howard said you could board and steal. Yeah.
I didn't see Todd say that for some reason. I
Oh, really?
Yeah, in that video, I swear to God, I've watched that video 10 times, and for whatever reason, I've never ever got that from his video, but Pete did say that later. So I don't know if I'm just missing that because I'm looking at all the other stuff and they're showing graphics, and maybe I wasn't listening to Todd at that point. I don't know. Maybe because sometimes I don't listen to him because I'm looking at what they're showing, because that's sort of like what I'm trying to see, like what I'm trying to glean.
I thought
maybe I
Todd
missed
was
it.
I thought Todd was gonna go into full marketing mode in that interview, but he actually provided stuff of substance. And then like the more you listen to them speak, it's like the more you realize there's like two parts of the game where it's like there's the core RPG stories and factions and all that stuff you want to get into, and then there's the sim side of things where it's like, hey, I just want to be a trader, I just want to be a smuggler, and you could do that in between each one. So you know what I mean? I'm just like I'm interested to see the systems in place, whether the ship combat is tacked on or not, whether it's just gonna be like, okay, we're just gonna kill like 3-4 ships at a time, or there's gonna be huge faction battles or something. The gunplay, everyone's acting as if Bethesda had good combat ever. Like, I don't play Bethesda games for the combat. I'm sorry.
No.
My
I could
next
mod it.
video actually is going to be about animation recoil in combat. Like I've already got it recorded. Tony, $2 super chat. Love the video you did on Starfield and excited for it. Thank you very much. Green Monkey 179 says, why do people want a small BGS game? That's insane. Yeah, that's true too. I will also say that, like, what's so funny to me is people look at No Man's Sky and it always shows that I get that you don't have to know, but when you start bitching more and more detailed, then you do need to know. Like, at some point you have to be like, okay, now as you're getting so detailed in your complaints, you have to know. No Man's Sky is using super formula, which is a completely different situation than procedural generation over the top of a planet that's already been created. It's not the same thing at all. So to compare it to No Man's Sky, the comparison will certainly be, if somebody wants to prove there's a barren planet, they'll be able to do it in 2.0 seconds. Be very easy, because they already said there'll be barren planets. So if you think you're going to be smart and be like, oh man, there's a barren planet, haha, told you. No, you didn't. Bethesda told us. They made it very clear there will be barren planets. What the hope is that you'll be able to put your outposts on a planet, that you'll be able to build on that planet, that you'll be able to go find resources, the mysterious artifacts,
Maybe
all that
terraform
kind
it
of stuff.
even.
Maybe in the future,
Maybe.
terraform it. Overall, they said there's no loading, or there is loading screens. There's no flying between planets, and there is no. It looks like in the system you can, but there's for certainly no flying between systems and no landing, which admittedly I talk about in the video. I expected that. And the main reason is because especially for many graphics engines, especially if you look at No Man's Sky versus all others, one of the reasons No Man's Sky does it is because of how it's built. Bethesda using the same engine, that it just at some point those guys have to throw their trash away. And if you don't know what I mean,
Especially when you
go
can
look
build
it
your
up.
own spaceship, right?
Yeah, you can build your own spaceship.
I mean, ship combat itself kind of
And watching that land and take off and whatnot.
Yeah. So from what I saw, from what we heard, IGN did what they said was a bunch of new data, but I've read their article like 10 times. There was like 2 or 3 little bits there that were new. The rest was just sort of regurgitating in different language. What we've got right now is the most data we'll probably get for a little while. Fallout 4.
What I was missing, they were showing some interactions with NPCs, but no idea about any dialogue
Narrative
system or lack thereof.
That's what I was going to bring up. It's very much in the skills. If you look at the skills through the video, they very much have a ton of stuff with the skills, but they didn't once show dialogue trees at all. So, yeah, we don't know. I mean, they'll be like, it would be weird if there were none. I think there's going to be, but yeah, we don't know what the interaction will be. Also, the storyline is about an explorer, so I don't know what the narrative will be. It sounds like the narrative is going to be take jobs for the different factions, join them as you want, which, let's be honest, that's a Bethesda staple.
Look for, like, dig up ancient alien artifacts.
They did,
from
yeah.
ancient civilization.
Yeah, because the Explorer Guild that you see right at the starting, you see explorers on the wall, you see old, I think it's a USS Bismuth, US Bismuth? I can't remember, but you see different ships of all kinds, little models and stuff. You see a galleon there. I think that's more about the going forth and discovering things versus an indrawn narrative.
What I did like, yeah, man, this is what gets me in a lot of RPGs where you create your own character. It got me in Cyberpunk. I hate it in Fallout 4. They do like a predefined character where it's like, okay, you are this war veteran or whatever, and you have 2 weeks to live, or you need to find your brother, or you need to do this and that. And it's like, it's cool that they're pulling back here and being like, okay, you choose your own background. And by the way, some of these traits, some of these backgrounds have cool shit, like, oh, your parents are still alive, you can go visit them, or hey, you have a home in this planet, but you have to pay mortgage. Like, there's some cool shit. But I want the main narrative to be less kind of pulled back, so we're able to role play and do whatever we want without feeling rushed to do a certain goal or a certain thing. Like, the less personality, the more you're personal with it. Like, you create your own goals and you kind of role play what you want to role play as.
It'll be interesting in a world as big as the one in Starfield. For me, what'll be really interesting is the main weakness for me with Bethesda's games has always been how static the worlds have been, especially in relation to your character. Where, like, in Morrowind, like, becoming the head of the Imperial Legion in Morrowind, and all the legionaries still greet you like you're an outsider.
Exactly.
Even though you're the commanding officer, like the companions in Skyrim. You're wearing, like, complete tan dragon leather from all the dragons you've been killing, and they go, "Oh, hello, Scrop. Like, who the hell are you?
You can't get in here." And you're like, "Dude, I just slaughtered everybody, and I'm the leader.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?" Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I agree fully.
Yeah, all that stuff. Like, I would like to see some evolution there.
Just player tracking of power would be good enough for me. Just track, get in there. Make some different sayings, remove the "I got shot in the knee." There'll be a joke in there somewhere. Like, there'll be an audiobook or something where somebody talks about getting shot in the knee. Like, that'll happen. But overall, I would love for them to be like, "Hey, man, like, yeah, you don't have to say you can go in here, but be like some reaction to your power and stuff like that." What I think is,
I mean, I sadly forget what game it was, but I had one good example a couple of months ago where a game did that pretty well, I think. You were interacting with a PC when you leveled up, and the PC was basically saying, "Well, I mean, I don't really have anything for you to do that's below that's like beneath you. Like, you look like you're like a much better adventurer than that task. But if you really want to do it, then it gives you the option."
And that's enough, right?
Still accept the quest.
That's enough. The little fakery is more than enough. Yeah. Let's see.
Some sort of acknowledgement.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Watkins, $5 super chat. I'm definitely going to play Starfield, but I'm not really more excited after seeing it in action as I was before. I'm trying to keep my hype in check. Tristan says, "Do we know if there's multiplayer?" No, I don't. I haven't heard anything about multiplayer. But Skyrim
it's single player.
has a mod for multiplayer. It's not perfect, but who knows? Scott, $5 super chat. Hopefully, Starfield is Explorer like Star Trek. I also want to point out that I think. So, okay, two things that I noticed. One, a lot of the people, right when Starfield was announced, were like, "This is the most concerning thing I've ever seen in my life. 1,000 planets. This is horrific." So I did a little Twitter searching and found out that those were the people celebrating Andromeda when Andromeda's original rumor was to have 1,000 planets. So there's a little bit of... It's not only a little disingenuous, it could also be that they learned maybe over this time that's not what they wanted. Maybe back in the day they did want that, and they've seen reflections and it's changed their opinion. But I did find that a little odd. Also, we've got the position that a lot of people don't want it to do well because it's an exclusive. And that is, unfortunately, a reality of gaming.
People
Other people don't want it to do well because it's Bethesda.
Yeah, and same thing if it's a Sony title, they're like Spider-Man stupid.
Man, I feel like you should be cautiously optimistic. Be cautious of every game.
Be cautious of everything.
Just don't jump on the hate wagon. Like, give them the benefit of the doubt. I think the 1,000 planet thing shouldn't be a point of contention at all. I think there's a ton of reasons to be cautious, and 1,000 planets is not one of them. It's just the fucking setting. Fuck, if it was on one planet, it would be the same, dude.
Dude, to
It
tell
would
you
be
how
the
bad it
complete
was,
same.
I did that video, and at the starting, I'm like, you guys know, especially if you look at my reviews, I'm not a Bethesda champion. In fact, I'm not anti-Bethesda, but I'm not you certainly couldn't say I'm a Bethesda champion. I think for the majority, almost 90% of the games, I've either said wait or deep sale. Just haven't been happy, whether it be technical or what have you. And instantly, within 30 seconds of posting it, oh my God, completely defending blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, man, here we go. You can chalk some of those up as Sony fans who don't want it to do well. You can chalk it up as people burned by Bethesda, which I agree with. Fallout 76 was bad.
Oh, it was trash, yeah.
So you should. And that's another thing I said in the video is like, you should absolutely just be cautious of any game. If you're not, hope it doesn't mean you can't be cautious. You can say, I hope this is good. But a lot of people are just like, it'll for sure suck because of this. And you're like, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense because now you're sort of arguing against the fiction. I will say the big thing I worried about, guys, if you guys remember, Fallout 4's shooting was directly touched upon by id. And it still was not very good.
Yeah.
Those guys helped Fallout 4 in their combat.
Yeah, it was saved by VATS.
It was saved by
a large
VATS,
extent.
exactly. And the combat I saw in this was the big issue I had. Lack
Yeah,
of recoil, lack of impact, lack of all that kind of stuff. That's far, because here's the thing. If I get to a planet, that's one thing. If I enjoy getting there, completely different. And I'm going to tell you right now, if the gunplay between the two, the biggest issue isn't the planets. That's why I keep telling people, I'm like, don't worry about the planets. You got to worry about what you saw in the video. And the plant, the shipbuilding, that all looked great. I thought the ship combat looked exactly like what I would expect. I have no issues there. But the combat?
And not only that, dude, but did you notice
Sort of rough.
how the enemies move and behave? I did a video on this today. I was going over that footage, and you see like some of the AI, not only are they just out in the open, right, tanking shots, like no attempt at like covering, like we see in Fallout, but like one dude was literally standing on top of like a surface on the ceiling, completely like, instead of standing behind it or something.
Yeah. Now,
just on top
admittedly,
of something.
I did a video on this
No
too.
awareness
Admittedly, there
of
were
what's going
times they did flank, they did do pincer movements, they did do those, but it didn't happen all the time. There were certain things that looked bad that I think probably weren't bad. There's a guy that runs past you and the character shoots him, and people were saying that's bad combat. No, it's not. If you look, he's running towards the pirate ship that's landing to save them. So you can distinctly look at that and say that's not that. But
I give him the benefit of the doubt because, they were
But there's
kind of
doubt.
shortcuts, right? But it worried me because some of the stuff that I saw was like, they're not even aware that I'm here and I'm a threat to them,
Right.
But yeah, it could be different things. They could patch it up. It's just like one thing I noticed.
I can't wait to see more of that combat because we also didn't see up close combat. Does it have Vermintide where you stop when you hit somebody and you feel the combat, or is it like every other Bethesda game
Oh boy.
where the weapon? I mean, let's be honest though. Far Cry Primal, one of my favorite games of all time, you also swing right through the enemy. I still love the game, but it's definitely Vermintide,
But you do
Darktide,
get-
a couple others are the only ones.
But that's sort of countered by the sound design, where you get the heavy thunk when you actually hit something.
well, it's all, and by visual decals on the enemy, which we didn't see in this trailer at all. Like what we saw was the last hit. Did you guys notice? It was like they got hit, nothing happened. The last hit spun people around. The last hit caused
Some
people to drop,
reacted.
and you were like, how are they? So maybe it's a performance sparing.
And there are some scenes where enemies did react to shots, 1 or 2 scenes where they didn't otherwise. Also, this is still in production, obviously. But
it is.
But yeah, no, that I totally agree. Like, because in the first couple of scenes, you see people only react to the last shot, and there was one scene where they're running and they did actually react to shots. So
He stuttered. You mean like he got shot?
yeah,
Like
he
did
the
What-
thing. Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Silver?
just it's funny because I think that didn't bother me so much, the shooting, because I think that was more in line with what I sort of
What
expected,
you expected?
Same.
from having played the Fallout games and other sort of RPG shooters, I want to say, that are very sort of stat based with your shooting, like Alpha Protocol as well, which also had incredibly wonky shooting. So that was sort of in line with what I expected. I think the biggest moment for me, even though I enjoyed the presentation overall and looking forward to the game, was the return of the settlement system, apparently, because I did not like the settlement system in Fallout 4. So to see to see it seemingly return in Starfield was not is not promising to me.
I mean, the
Hopefully it
thing
doesn't
is,
return in the same way. Hopefully it's just
well,
like
it
you can build
already
your own
doesn't because
bases.
it goes on a spoke system that seems to be much better. But we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Hiring people sounded cool. Hiring people for your ship. I want to kill everybody on my ship. Fly around with a dead crew. Can I do that? That'll be the first thing I check.
You can
It'll
always make him like necro.
Like a necromancer,
undead.
you mean? Yeah.
Not like the necroc or like undead, like space aliens. They're kind of like the Borg type.
I think also, obviously this game will do phenomenal. Like, I can already tell, like, just by talking to some people who see it, and it already looks 10 times better than Fallout 76. So, like, there's no worries of it not doing well, but I think that what I would like to see after all this time is, we got planets and that's great, but I would have liked to have not walked away from it saying it looked like Fallout's battle system, which is what I did. That's unfortunate.
One thing I did really like is with the settlement system and stuff and building ships and all that is that now you can go into an overhead view, kind of build like the Sims.
Yeah, it's a hub and spoke system for sure.
Yeah. I like that a lot more. Also zero gravity combat. Yes.
Okay, admittedly, that actually looked cool. The zero combat, it looked cool as a premise, is what I mean. I mean, they got shot and didn't seem to do much. But
and if you notice, each planet had different gravity. So
that's true.
Planets would be able to jump high, and others you won't. That'd be cool too. Todd did. Sorry, one more thing. Todd did confirm that there's gonna be smuggling stuff. Bounty hunting things. I don't know if he directly said bounty hunting, but maybe trading from how he was talking about it. But
there has to be trading because that one ship went from 113 cargo to 3,033. That obviously, and it can't. I think I told you, I don't know, but I definitely said this in the video. That indicates not only trading, but most likely an active trading system where it's changing prices. Because if 3,033 is possible, you'll make billions in seconds. Most likely it'll be for every unit you sell, it goes down in price by 1 or what have you, and maybe it's got a little bit of a buffer there.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I'm hoping the systems in place are pretty deep. I mean, with those systems and maybe even mods, you'll be able to just turn the game into just a space sim or just play the main game.
I know we've all mentioned mods. I am trying to remove that because I don't want to talk about somebody else fixing their game. So because Fallout 76 didn't get that option because it's online. Do you see what I'm saying? So there's an unfairness. Then we start getting into a weird issue where it's hard to compare them because one doesn't have the flexibility as the other one does for mods. So I want to read these super chats just real quick. Mr. Agent, $10. Got a free ticket for the Judas Priest concert in Munich. So I thought I'd give back. Cheers. Thank you very much, man. And congrats. Raven.
Yeah, enjoy.
$5 super chat. I fear Starfield will be just small procedurally generated areas, not whole planets. That's already for sure that it'll be whole planets. Excalum, $5 super chat. They may be working on Zero G Gore, blood floating around. Might not have been ready for the trailer. Yeah, I mean, there
cool.
might not be a lot of stuff we saw. All we can go on is what we saw. What were you going to say, Silver?
Like I joked in the Discord that it would be funny if like the ship customization, if they made it like Kerbal, that you actually have to factor in.
Yeah, I saw you saying that. No, please don't.
Like, actual aerodynamics, so that for 85% of the players, taking off from the planet just goes.
I'm going to try that, by the way. The first thing I do is I am going to put an engine on one side just to see what happens. But obviously, it's going to do incredibly well.
One on both sides, like engines. Yeah.
We'll just have to see overall how it pans out, but it definitely can say that of all the stuff I've seen from Fallout when I was watching those old trailers, all the stuff I saw from all the games, pretty much all the way back past Morrowind, I would say Oblivion is where this started, where you started seeing YouTube trailers for the games. This looks better than all those in what I'm seeing with the systems than what I saw in those past ones, but we'll have to see if it pans out. It's obvious though that they've sort of hit on a space where everybody sort of wants a space game from them. They also want Fallout, of course, and Elder Scrolls. But I think overall this is a game that a lot of people wanted. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they can hit. And if they do hit it, or if they do, unfortunately require mods. But I think all Bethesda games, they don't require mods.
Then they can resell the game for the next 10 years.
Yeah, right.
It's funny because people were like, "Hey, it's just Fallout in space." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, it's Fallout in space." Yes, dude.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a weirdness there, right? When you're just like, hey, maybe it'll be just, oh, what if it's just this? It's like, well, that's probably what
That's
a good
pretty
number
cool.
of people. Well, and that's the comparison too. Whenever you hear somebody say, oh, it's probably just this, it's like you do realize that's quite literally the reason why somebody's interested is probably because they did play that game, and the idea of taking some of those systems into space is actually exciting for them. But what I saw, the systems, the ships, that all looked pretty much like what I was expecting. I didn't come out of it and go, other than the performance. And the performance is where I expected it. I was just hoping, I was just magically hoping it would be locked. It'd be great performance.
The character creator did look like the best one they've done so far. So
yeah. And you can have a house, you can have parents that you can like go and visit, and
like old RPGs, man. Choose your traits and then your backgrounds and stuff. And we know that obviously in dialogue, like people are going to mention it here and there. It's not going to be a huge thing, but I don't know. It just adds to the role play, and the ability to, land on these 1,000 planets adds to the role playing factor. I don't want to be limited,
Yeah. I mean, function and fiction wise, it all matches up. So, I mean, so far what I've saw, it definitely, it looks pretty much exactly what I was hoping. I want to see the big cities. One huge bonus was they had a lot more people in the cities. And I got to tell you, man, as somebody who's dinged on that since Morrowind. No. I mean, not Daggerfall. That doesn't make sense to bitch about it in Daggerfall. But since Morrowind, I've bitched about the same 8, rednecks running an entire town's economy. And this showed a ton of people in the city. Now, admittedly, Cyberpunk showed a ton of people in the city. But what Cyberpunk's trailers always showed was errors in those cities. And one thing I noticed when I was looking through the footage of this, the people weren't popping in the cities. They were like they were consistent. So we'll have to see how that works. I would like to see multiple people in a city, and not like just the same 7 guys, all voiced by Claudia Christensen. Yeah, I love her. She's from Babylon. She's like one of my favorite actresses. But you start to pick up that it's like it's the same complaint we have for Troy Baker. Where you're like, dude,
and every male trader is Stephen Russell.
Stephen Russell. Yeah, exactly. Gregor, $20 super chat. Will Bethesda ever switch to the Unreal Engine?
I don't think so.
By the way, I should point something out. I diss about Gamebryo all the time, but we are on Unreal 5. Just to make sure everybody understands that that's the 5th Unreal Engine game. Gamebryo is now the 4th or 5th of their engine games. So Unreal's made huge strides, but it is, it's just that I think we can all agree the interaction in Bethesda games is about 1,000 times higher than any other game that I can at least track, and I play most role-playing games. Whether it's good interaction is not the point. I'm just saying you can pick up every little thing. It also looks like that's tuned down a little bit. Because when the character was walking around and grabbed the lock, they did the lockpick. I noticed that a lot of stuff in the game world didn't look like it was the typical Ubisoft, everything's jostling around, ready to kill you, do the bad physics. So maybe they've turned that down a little bit, and I would actually be okay.
Yeah, I hope there's like more diplomacy options and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Right? Like the ability to talk people down.
I mean, there is one of the traits is quite literally diplomatic. All right.
Yeah, and then everybody's wanting Fallout 5 and ESO, and looking at the release schedule, Fallout 6 is, ESO or not ESO, I'm sorry, Elder Scrolls 6 is prior to Fallout, right? Mm-hmm. So I think the rumor was that if you look at their dates, Fallout comes at around 2029, 2030. So
when you think about that, it's
hope you're alive.
Yeah.
Hope you haven't. Hope we're alive.
Stay healthy out there.
I think later, dude. I think later than that. Because let's say Starfield comes out 2023, I would expect Elder Scrolls around 2026, 2027, and then Fallout in probably the 30s.
That's a long time.
That is a long time. Yeah.
That's a long time. Man.
My life is so short. What is the universe?
2026.
Oh God,
they did announce Elder Scrolls in what was it? 2020.
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
But they definitely showed the little trailer thing. I think it was going over like some land or something like that.
And it was in like pre-production still, I think, at the time.
You know what's sobering? If you think about that timeline and you project into the future, you can count the number of Bethesda games that you will play in your lifetime.
Oh, don't know.
In what, one hand? Two hands?
Two hands, possibly if you started young. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, the systems we're playing on, well, one big positive also is that this is on the cloud, they stated. So a lot of people who want to play this game, which probably won't require instant perfect response like Doom, there's probably going to be a lot of people just playing this game on a cloud stream. Because why not? Like, at that point, we're also talking about 2 or 3 years from now, they might have better internet, that kind of stuff. Imagine what we'll be playing. Will it be VR? You know, one thing I do want to point out, Bethesda's a massive VR proponent. You got Fallout, you have Skyrim. They've talked about it multiple times. We did not see any indication whatsoever of Starfield also being VR.
That'd be cool as fuck, though.
But we didn't. I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
and remember, those guys love to sell you another copy. It's not going to be free. It's not going to be Starfield VR free. Here's a coupon. Here's a coupon. That's not what's happening. They'll be like, here's a $59.99 minimum game that we've slightly adjusted. That's basically slightly different executable. So moving on from there, I think that's pretty much it for Starfield, man. It was you know what? I'm just happy to finally see it and see the systems and be able to at least step back and be like, all right, man, like.
And just the ship building, you know what the base building and stuff, that's enough for me to have my own like emergent narrative, right? Oh, I'm gonna be this guy who's
setting
like
your
fucking...
own goals.
Yeah, your own goals, man. That's the juice.
Yeah,
that is the juice.
That is. Silver, what were you gonna say? Did we talk over you?
I was just agreeing.
Oh, gotcha. So we get out of Microsoft's event, and then we go to a Microsoft event. No, we go to the PC event. Mm-hmm. PC event was pretty fucking sweet.
Pretty dope.
That's pretty dope. They did. Yeah. Like, I was like, I'm not going to stream it because, you know, your ass gets tired and you're like, man, you know, this is rough. I don't want to sit through all this. I sat through it anyway, but just did it in Discord like an idiot. I should have just streamed it. There's a lot of games, man. There was a lot of, and they toned down the humor, which I don't know. I guess it was bad in the past. And it was bad here too at times. But
yes, so bad.
Whatever.
Terrible.
I like Day 9 though. I like him.
I don't even know who that is, but
the main guy,
the presenter.
Okay, yeah.
I thought it was decent. Yeah, it's a thankless job. Yeah,
it is a thankless job, right? Because if you're dry, people are like, "This is boring." It's just people talking. And if you're funny, people are like, "This is not funny," because I'm the master of funny. So you can't win. But what they did show, and this is sort of why I don't rate events. I think rating events is idiotic because, like, there might be one amazing game in the event. How do you rate the event? I'd rather just look at each game separately. And what we saw in the PC, there was a lot of stuff, man. There was a lot of indie titles, a ton of, well, I mean, we can expect that. But
Gloomwood finally got a release date for early access, but release date all the same.
All the same, right? You'll at least be able to touch some part of the game, you know?
Yeah.
System Shock
excited.
Looked great.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to play that. Like, hopefully it's good.
I love Frostpunk and This War of Mine. Those are two of my favorite strategy games ish. And I don't know what the new one's about.
I don't know what the new one's about. Yeah,
but it looks like basically in their
the
games,
giant wheel thing with the containers.
What was it called? Altered.
From my understanding,
Altered,
something like that,
or some
something like that. So from my understanding, what I judging by their past games, you're gonna be in this settlement that is constantly on wheels moving around, and it'll most likely be like a survival type,
Yeah, because it looked like dying and that the clones were there. Yes.
Yeah.
It was hard to tell because it was like CGI stuff. But
yeah.
Dude, I mean, I don't know. I thought the PC game, other than them giving away, I mean, they have to, by the way. So The Rock showed up and he didn't even talk about games. He talked about Black Adam for like 10 minutes. Like that,
Game Fest.
I have no clue what that dude was even doing. It was amazing, by the way. Like when he showed, I love it because that guy's so high up in the echelon of actors, he doesn't even have to cover what he's hired for. And you know that they were like, I mean, I'm sure they got money from him most likely. Like because they take, as you notice, the ads were crazy in that video, in that event. If you come out of the Xbox event with no ads and you go into that, it was just ad after ad after ad because they need that. That's how they were getting their income. But he showed up. There was a lot of PC console overflow in that though. Almost all of them were also on console. So, I mean, not all of them, but a lot of them were also on console. What else do we see? System Shock looked cool.
There's this The Invincible, which is based on a novel written in I think 76 or 78.
Oh my god, the Mars, the
yeah.
oh dude.
And I love the contrast between like the drab environment and the poppy, very colorful 80s sci-fi.
Almost like EDF
stuff, you know?
Defense Force or something. There was something about it. The
Yeah.
design, the round sloped design of everything looked very old school Mars Attacks in a way, but not that goofy. But yeah, that game looked
Yeah.
and they showed a long trailer, or they showed a long. We were sitting there
Yeah, it
just
was
going like,
pretty long.
holy shit, they just keep showing more video. So that felt like it was far along too. They had a lot of
Yeah.
cool effects on stuff. That what was that called again? What's that one
The
called?
Invincible.
The Invincible. Oh,
Based on the novel of the same name. Yeah.
dude, did you see that one, Silver?
I did, yeah.
Oh, dude, did you like that? Because I thought you would have been all over like that graphics choice.
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
That
that
was great.
Looks really solid.
yeah, that looked awesome. What
There's
other
also a
ones?
game that was exactly like Earth Defense Force. It was very, very similar to Defense Force, where there's just like a
Bunch of aliens.
bunch of monsters and you're going there with your friends and killing them. I forgot what it was called, but it screamed to me.
How many
Defense Force.
EDFs do we have? We're on like 77, aren't we?
6.
No, 5.
Well, I feel like
Plus
there's a lot of
the
side
side
ones,
ones.
and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, there are like five main titles.
yeah, 5 main titles. Yeah, I like
And the
EDF.
sixth
I'm not
one is on the way.
complaining because I actually they're horrible. They have the worst. If you think animation in like Starfield's bad, EDF is like, oh my god, it's horrendous, and it doesn't. It's still such a good time.
Oh god, the enemies, yeah, so good.
Goat Sim 3. Yeah, they faked Dead Island, and it was Goat Simulator 3 because goats can't count, baby.
That was back in Summer Game Fest. Yeah.
was that Summer Games Fest? Yeah, somebody mentioned it, so I wanted to point it out there. Yeah, that was awesome.
Clay Entertainment also announced their new game.
What was that one?
That was sorry, I forget the title. Rotwood.
Rotwood. I don't think I got to see that. I popped in and out, but I didn't get to see that one. What was it?
Sort of 2D kind of beat 'em up.
Oh, okay.
Kind of thing, which is interesting from them. I mean, with Shank and Marco the Ninja and whatnot in their repertoire.
They did Shank?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a blast from the past. All right. Yeah, I didn't get to see
man.
that. What other ones were shown in that? I can look up what was shown in that event, actually. What is that event called? PC Game Show?
PC Gamer. Yeah.
Showcase,
PC
right?
Gamer
PC Gamer Showcase 2000.
PC Gaming Show 2022.
So, somebody did an excellent roundup here. Deceive Inc. Yes, by the way. I can't wait for that. I thought that looked awesome, Deceive Inc. Scorn, not so into that, but I'm glad it's being made. It looked really slow to me. Welcome to
I'm into
Nivalis. That's the cyberpunk game that was like a builder, right? It looked like you were building your
yes.
cafe
So-
or something
You're
like
running
that.
a restaurant.
Yeah.
You're running a restaurant and
It
you
looked
can
awesome.
expand it into a nightclub or something. It looked fucking. You can go fishing. It's pretty cool.
Agent 64 Spies Never Die.
On the one hand, that one was interesting, like a golden eye sort of.
Yeah, that's what I thought was a golden eye. But what were you going to say?
You know, I don't know how to feel about the Space Marine presentation. On the one hand, I'm sort of disappointed they didn't show anything,
Mhm.
and on the other hand, what more do they really need to show? Because
Right.
I mean, they did show a trailer that had some gameplay, and they're basically going, "Oh, it's Warhammer 40K. You're playing a Space Marine. You're going to be fighting thousands and thousands of Tyranids.
Mhm.
Go."
Yeah.
I don't really know that you really need that much more to really sort of to go on.
The one that
From there.
impressed me, honestly, was the Endless dungeon game. The Endless dungeon game, that looked right up my alley. I liked the idea, and I've liked a lot of their games, not all of them, but that one was definitely high up on my list.
I forgot which showcase.
I Am
but
Future.
Solstice looks pretty cool.
Yep.
There was, I forgot what showcase, but there was this one where it's like a I think it was an Xbox one, and it just came and went, and it was like a stealth kind of, you move in the shadows.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, oh man, I can't remember the name of that one where the female was the main lead.
Yes,
and you could hide in, like it had you tracking
like
shadows
Aragami.
very closely. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff shown at that event. Moving on from there.
Also,
No, not moving on from there. What one?
Sorry, Lesara Summit Kingdom, the one where you build cities on mountains.
On the mountain, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And didn't they also, was that the one that also the lady from Expanse did the voiceover? Or was that the different, it looked a little bit like it was going to be Age of Empires.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
And she did a voiceover, but they didn't show, I think it was different because I think that one they didn't even show gameplay. They were just
they
like,
showed a tiny bit of gameplay in the second Xbox event.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't aware of
tiny
that.
bit. Yeah.
But the PC game show overall, I don't have a track for if that was considered good or bad. It seems like from what I'm hearing, it was actually considered good, but I don't really track that that event very well. I mean, what they showed I thought was actually interesting. But moving on from there, we got the Xbox secondary event. Not much to say, right? That was just sort of like here's a little bit more. There wasn't anything in that Xbox secondary event that I even remember as being. We didn't even stream it actually. Now that I think about it, we decided not to stream it.
It was just a talking,
like interviewing with
talking points, right?
Funny
But-
enough, Pete
go ahead.
Hines got me excited to play Fallout 76.
Yeah, because they were talking about some big improvements for Fallout 76 for sure.
And like choices and all that shit. So I was like, maybe I'll check out that game.
Hey, here's the thing. They aren't. I mean, they've done a lot of fixes for that game. I mean, they just have. So I mean, they added human NPCs finally. They did a lot of stuff that if you're not a fan of the original, maybe you should check it out again. Then we got, who cares if it's in line? Let's talk about Capcom's little event. So they talked about Dragons Dogma. Well, we saw Dragons Dogma yesterday. We'll cover it anyway now because I want to cover it. But Dragons Dogma 2, man, like that might be the best announcement this year for me. Like we knew it was being made, but it's like, dude, it's Capcom. You never know how they're going to do
I
shit.
don't know when they announce it though. It's just it hits you and it's like, okay, this is real. You know
No,
what
it's
I mean?
like Persona for Xbox. It's fine. You're like, okay, now it's concrete. And that was an awesome event too, because I know people were like, why are they talking about Dragons Dogma 1? But not only were they celebrating it, they were also describing like how they make creatures and their decisions and the pawn system. And then, all they did was flash up a Dragons Dogma 2. That was it. They didn't even show systems it was on or anything. And it was still probably my favorite,
Is there like one or two things that you guys, because I think all of you loved Dragon's Dogma. I only dipped my toes. Were there like one or two things that you really wanted them to change or add for like the sequel?
I'll do mine real quick. Dragon's Dogma had pretty terrible voice acting. It had a lot of repeats. Their masterworks, you can't go wrong. No, change it. Come on, man. That, and then graphically, I think Dragon's Dogma had a lot of issues, and it just never looked great. It tried to,
like
but it was bland textures.
Side?
Yeah, there was a lot of bland textures, a lot of issues. Even the resolution was very subpar when it first came out on consoles. So I would like to see it take that big, because it was MT Framework was their engine, and it just wasn't good. And that's my big hope. Is to see, but since we haven't seen anything, I don't know. Those would be my two that I had issues with in the original. What were issues in the original?
I only played the Dark Arisen patch, so I didn't have issues. I didn't have many issues. I remember when the Dragon's Dogma first came out, a lot of people like Angry Joe and a lot of others were complaining about no fast travel. They'd have to like run very, very
you had to go through the same mountain pass over and over with all the goddamn harpies. Got tired of that.
But
a lot of people don't like it. But I don't use fast travel anyways.
But there is fast travel in that game.
Now
there is, but you can only unlock
port
it like
stones.
late game.
The port stones,
Well, you can unlock it pretty quickly if you understand how to use the guy who copies port stones. I mean, he literally tells you he copies it. Well, whatever.
Was that in, like the original game?
Yeah,
or just
there was definitely ways to get around it. The one issue I had with that is that a lot of people will say something's not there, and you're like, it is there. You weren't smart enough to fucking figure it out. Like, that's on you.
Yeah.
I don't. But anyway, long story short, what were you going to say, Silver?
No, nothing. I don't know that I have anything that comes to mind as like immediately that I would have rectified for a sequel, because I mean it is one of my favorite action games for a reason. Like it's one of those weird games where even the stuff I don't like, I don't necessarily want to change it.
You mean like the voice, like
for the future, like the voice, because I mean it's
all you can't go wrong.
It's sort of part of the charm. There are all these pieces that come together and just make up the whole that sort of is that game, and that game is entirely unique. There's nothing else like Dragons Dogma out there.
That's true. You could say I don't want to say it's like Torrentino game or whatever the fuck his name is, but it's I don't want to say it's like he makes his movies a certain way, but that game does feel like a weird Dark Souls solitary, but at the same time more fantasy, and then with the repeated voices, it's got you're right. It does have its own thing, right?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but till this day, I don't think I've seen a companion system better than Dragon's Dogma.
No, me neither. I like the pawns.
Yeah, I don't think usually companions piss the shit out of me, but with Dragon's Dogma, they're just helpful, and I enjoyed having them there.
Real quick, Poth, what's up, buddy? 179 super chat. Just played Severed Steel demo on X Series X. Awesome. I have not heard about that. I don't know what that is. I'll have to check it out. So,
it is kind of funny though when you go and look for pawns, when you have to sift through like the 80% of them that are just naked women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, God.
Right. Or when your server, when it became less popular and the servers were shut down, and you were like, well, dude, half of the fun of this was getting other people's pawns.
Am I the only one that had a full harem?
You mean all women on your team?
All women on my team.
I picked the guys who looked the goofiest.
Fighting the ogres was really fun for you then.
Yeah, no shit. Well, that was another thing. The game had monsters that made sense in its locations. Like, even in many ways, Dark Souls doesn't do that. Like, that was one of the first games where they were like, if you had the women characters, the ogre would like attack the shit out of them, and they even said it. And I thought that was awesome, where they were like, they're attracted like to females, like they can smell them. And I was like, that is such a weird idea. Such like, or the oil. The first time I had my torch on my on my waist, and I did a roll through water, and it went out in the middle of a battle, and it was jet black, and I was like, what fucking, the game broke. What happened? And then the use of light and dark in that game is beyond almost any game out there that we've ever seen. So
and character creator, like how tall you are, how short you are.
Oh yeah, making a difference for if you can climb or go through a hole. Like that was that's ingenious. And your equipment, So all which that equipment thing definitely feels a little bit like a Dragon's or like a Dark Souls, but I think they went even a little, maybe a tiny little bit farther. I would like to say the classes, I would like to have more classes, or I don't know. Sometimes I wasn't a big fan. There was like a lot of classes in that game I remember looking at being like, I'll never play that class.
Really?
But maybe that's
looked
me.
At them and I was like, damn, I want to play every class, because they were like dual specs, and they got deeper into like classes.
I mean, there were definitely classes to that game that really weren't kind of fun. I mean,
I guess that's what I mean is fun. The
two-handed warrior was borderline unplayable, especially if you were solo, because you just had no counter for a lot of the enemies in the game. Right. Especially like the larger enemies. Like there are enemies where you basically had to have some sort of ranged to fight them. Like the Ur Dragon, you had to shoot his wings. You couldn't actually climb up onto his wings and hit his wings with your sword. You had to have some kind of range to do that.
Dude, I still remember coming out of I don't remember this location. I remember coming out of a cavern, and I heard a wyvern flying, and I grabbed onto his tail, and while he was in the air, and he flew off with me on my back, and just being like, this might be the coolest moment I've ever had in a game. Like being legitimately stunned at the weird, odd things you can do, even though
it's like half Shadow of the Colossus, half like Monster Hunter.
Yeah, climbing onto an ogre when he's pissed, and you don't know what's going on because the game's clipping. Like, camera. Camera. There's one. Yeah, camera. And guys, learn how to use a fucking transparency. Because you see games now, like I think Divinity Original Sin was doing it, where if you pan past a rock, it transparencies the rock. Let's do this, man. Let's be done with this bullshit camera where you couldn't tell what was going on because the Ghost of Tsushima's camera. Remember Ghost of Tsushima? It was a fucking enemy sometimes. When you were playing that game, you're like, the camera's a bad guy. It just, especially intense. That camera sucked. Yeah, there's that. There's the magic system was awesome. It'll be interesting to see where you are, but the magic system was one of my favorite parts in Dragon's Dogma. So yeah, it's very. Did anybody in chat? Do you have anything you'd like to see improved in Dragon's Dogma for number 2? And then what else did we see at these events? Final Fantasy.
Rebirth.
It was like 10 minutes only, but it was packed with
data and announcements. And so this is
very cool.
I want to make sure this is clear. This is Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 we're talking about.
So that's one of the things they announced. It's Part 2, the sequel to Final Fantasy Remake.
Part 1.
Exactly.
The sequel. Okay.
The sequel. So the second part of that coming out next year.
And
winter.
they confirmed it is a trilogy, correct, Johnny?
They confirmed it's a trilogy. Yeah.
Wait, really? So
They
okay,
did.
So,
They did.
So what I heard from them, they're working on 4 Final Fantasy VII games right now, and the thing they said about Rebirth was like, you don't need to play the first one, or it's going to be like its own new adventure. So I'm wondering if they're going to put a lot of flashback scenes or something to like.
The way
supplement
I
your-
understood that text, Absi, is that not necessarily Rebirth would be their first game. Is that the remake in general, like part 1 and then Rebirth would be someone's entry to Final Fantasy VII.
Oh,
I
as
see.
opposed to the
Okay.
original.
Okay.
All right.
And they want that to be a self-sufficient, its own thing. That's what I took from that text.
Well, and I think we can all agree that is the way it should be, right? Because are you going to say, hey,
Yes.
go back and play the old Final Fantasy?
Go
Yeah,
back.
I know it's 25 years old, but you have to play that to get the game currently. That would be,
exactly.
Instead be like, dude, this is continuation of the story. They could be like Mankind Divided with a 55-minute starting
Yeah.
clip or whatever for Deus Ex. I mean, that was ridiculous, but I hope they don't do that with this.
Mm.
So
And so we
this is a
also
trilogy.
have-
What else is there?
Right. So the other games are we have a couple mobile games. There's the Battle Royale.
First Soldier.
Sorry?
The First Soldier is one of
The
them,
First
and the other one's
Soldier.
Ever Crisis.
And the other one's Ever Crisis. So Ever Crisis, I think it's kind of like a two-parter, or it has like 2 parts to it. One
Mhm.
is a kind of a retelling of older games like Crisis Core and things like that.
Okay.
And then there's also a full-on remake for Crisis Core, which was the PSP game that was also in the Final Fantasy VII
Okay.
universe. Okay, so I don't know exactly how that's structured, but those are like 2 things where you have the retelling and then an actual remake, as I understand it.
And then anything about Final Fantasy 16?
No, because that's a completely separate
Division.
team.
Yeah.
So they
This is
didn't even
confusing.
mention that
Okay,
at all.
gotcha. They didn't mention it at all.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But it's crazy that both are coming out next year, right? So you have
Both
7
what's?
Remake and
Oh, okay.
the 7 Remake Part 2 and Final Fantasy.
Well, and they
16.
said they're already also working on part 3
Of what?
There's 7.
of the remake.
The
of
remake.
7 remake.
All right. So a lot of Final Fantasy.
A lot.
Oh yeah, a lot of Final Fantasy.
A lot of Final Fantasy. I'm happy about that. I'm glad that they said it was a trilogy, so we sort of at least get a general idea of what they're like,
Yeah,
what we
of the
should
scope.
like, how of the scope. Yeah, because I think with 2 we'll be able to see. Because the big question I think for all of us was, how do you split it? We already knew they were going to split it, but it was like, how do you split that game? Remember, we talked about this for fucking a long time prior to it coming out. We're like, how are they going to split
Yeah.
this game? What exactly are we going to? I mean,
And-
where are they going to stop the story? Where are they going to start it?
You know what else is interesting to think about is how they're
Thanks,
even
Abzi.
going to structure this second game, because in the original it was like 3 discs as well.
Right.
So
yeah.
and it really coincides.
Wasn't
the
it
end of
city
disc 1.
and then outside or
Exactly.
something? Yeah. Okay.
Spot on. So we leave Midgar, right?
Mhm.
And then you go into the open world in disc 2, which
Mhm.
will be part 2. But the question is open, like, will they do like an open world where you can actually traverse? There was even a ship that you could move around and stuff. How much of that will they do versus, kind of bring it to
Yeah.
the more hub style?
I think with Final Fantasy also, I don't know anything about 16. So 15 is one of the few I liked, and I know that's probably somebody's going to say, "Oh man, you're a bad person because you liked 15." Whatever. I did. I thought 15 was fun, boy band, sort of stupid. Drove a car. Now you can drive the car anywhere. When I played, it was locked to the street, but now it's like you can drive anywhere, you can do anything. What's 16 supposed to be? Have they? Is it completely new characters? Is 16 a completely?
It's a new game.
characters, yeah.
Completely new game. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're all new, right?
Like new everything, new world,
New characters, new world.
And not
Yeah.
connected.
Not connected.
No.
Okay. Huh.
I mean, I think that's probably where Final Fantasy is probably where I've become the grumpy old man, because I saw the trailer for 16 and there was just nothing there for me that engaged
Gotcha.
me.
Did you
on
feel the
any
same when
level,
you saw the trailers for
unfortunately.
15?
No,
Oh,
like
okay.
that one at least, I felt like there were some elements of it, if nothing else, in presentation. I don't feel like, I guess it's also partially because like throughout my entire life, Final Fantasy has always been
Party
at the
and group.
no, like they've always been at the forefront of pushing presentation. Like from like Final Fantasy 7 to Final Fantasy 8 to like they were always at the cutting edge of video game presentation.
Right.
And I think they were up until 15 even. And I don't know, I guess I didn't see anything in 16 that made me go, wow. Where I think maybe a lot of people did, but I just didn't. Like there was nothing there that resonated with me at all.
Wait, somebody says no Final Fantasy game is connected. That's completely untrue. There's been a couple that are connected. There's 13 and 13X or whatever. There's multiple ones that have been connected, haven't there?
Yeah.
So there are 2 that got sequels.
Yeah.
10 got X2. So
There's definitely been ones that
and
are connected.
13. But all like the numbers, like from one number to another, there's never been a direct connection outside of like winks
Tangential.
and little kind of
and like chocobos and whatnot. Yeah.
Thematic things.
Reading this
mini mogs and whatnot.
When I was asking about Dragons Dogma, was there anything like people wanted to see? Most people are pretty happy with what they got. There are some people who are saying they'd like to have, the different voice actors or a wider spread of voice actors, maybe possible online co-op. So I can get behind co-op, I think, for this one. I mean, we're at that time. I think that would be good. Not seeing anything else for there. Somebody said the assassin class was awesome in Dragon's Dogma. Was that the double blade guy? Was that the double knife guy? Yeah, he was awesome. I was a fan of the Mystic Knight, a very generic character, but like having the ability to feather fall. I remember the first time I saw that, and as a big D&D fan, you always hear feather fall, which is like your ability to leap off something, not die. And to see it in a game, finally, I was just like, oh my god!
Also, Mystic Knight, you could like reflect enemy spells.
True. Yeah, see, I forgot all about this. So what else for I just wanted to read those for people. What else for Final Fantasy or that event? Was there any other stuff outside? Because Johnny, I didn't really get to see this. So
the other piece, so that's like the projects they're working on as for games, but they also released Final Fantasy VII Remake on Steam. So if
retrograde
people were waiting,
or intrograde or
retrograde.
Yeah,
so the current, so it's part 1 with the DLC
Intergrade.
that you can get.
Integrate.
It's on Steam, yeah. Hopefully the port is better because it was trash on Epic.
As far as I know, the game itself hasn't
fine on the Steam Deck even.
Well, so did Elden Ring. Remember?
Yeah.
Well, what
maybe
I
that's
will
just a
say
Steam
is-
Deck.
I mean, Elden Ring does fine on the Steam Deck, so.
I'm just saying, I don't know if that's if that's an indicator of the port or if that's an indicator of some magic on the Steam Deck. Ethan Bloom, $5 super chat. On Tuesday, I have to wait by the hospital while my wife has surgery. Not life-threatening. That's good. I can't decide what Switch game to play. No Mario
Astral
or Zelda.
Chain.
I don't know what that means. Dude, Rabbids.
Astral
Even though
Chain.
it is Mario.
Astral Chain, yeah.
You're
Yeah.
such a big Astral Chain. Like
I
you
love
got
that.
a little
It's
badge.
such a good game. It's so good. Not a lot of people talk about it.
Chicken Police. Pretty good Switch.
Chicken is got to go. Oh, dude, I mean, this is just the honest truth. I would do Skyrim because I actually think that the Switch port of Skyrim is probably one of the best ones ever, and I know I would have fun because it's just a, open-ended box of crazy shit going on. Anything else for events? Was that? Oh, Ubisoft had an event, but they did. There's a free mode for Valhalla that's rogue. That's roguelike, we saw. And then they announced their big deal, another DLC, which I believe is like the end of this character's story, Ivor's story. So I'm always been a fan of Ubisoft's DLC. Matter of fact, if you could find a way to just play their DLC and not their main games, you would have a stunningly high success rate.
There are some turds in there, like the aforementioned.
But for the number,
remastered.
I mean, for the number of... Oh, I'm talking about...
Oh, yeah.
No, Remastered wasn't
Remastered
Ubisoft.
isn't Ubisoft.
That was Red
Johnny.
Faction.
Yeah.
my bad.
Dude,
Yeah,
no, that's all right.
yeah.
I was like, yeah, no, that's it. There have been bad DLCs for sure for Far Cry.
I was thinking of that Far Cry DLC that takes place in
Mars. I knew that's where we were going. I was like, I think he's thinking that one was donkey shit.
Oh man,
that was like the Vietnam one as well. I remember talking to Go Burns about that, and he's like, this is some bad DLC, man. Far Cry's DLC has not been a success.
It's a little rough.
I liked the one with Voss that was sort of roguelike, but overall just not been a huge fan. So that's it for those, right? That's it for the events, isn't it?
Yeah, we covered it.
Endovault, $25 super chat. Thank you very much. You keep the channel going, man. I recently went on a 12-hour flight and downloaded 5 Just the Tip podcasts on my phone. Had noise-canceling headphones, so really thank you all for keeping the podcast up.
Oh, damn. That is no longer Just the Tip.
That's a long time.
That is...
that is true. That's 5 inches of Just the Tip, which technically is a little less than average. So moving on from there, we had a ton of stuff. I wanted to talk also. So we had I want to make sure Xbox Starfield, Dragons Dogma, the Square stuff. We're done with Square stuff, right? Those were the games that were announced for Square stuff.
There was also Devolver had one as well, right?
What?
We talked about it last week. Yeah.
We talked about that last week, yeah.
Did we? Okay. I want to make sure we're not missing any from Saturday or Sunday on. Okay. So that's it for the events.
Mm-hmm.
Capcom touched on Resident Evil stuff.
Thank you. I'm sitting here trying to figure out what it was I had missed, and I kept overlapping it with Dragon's Dogma. Capcom, ray tracing on everything almost, right? They added ray tracing for what did they add ray tracing for? 4's Remake? Is that what they said? Or were they just showing 4's Remake? This is one I didn't get a chance to watch.
Resident Evil 2.
Resident Evil 2. Okay. And then they added ray tracing to a couple, and then they showed something for 7. What was Resident Evil 7's announcement? Was that ray tracing? Or was it Village that got ray tracing? See, I unfortunately didn't watch this event.
Me neither. Village got something.
Here's the problem with me and Resident Evil. I like them once. A lot. Many of them. But I never... it's just not something I ever return to. So if anybody has that data, feel free to put it in our chat, because unfortunately, it sounds like none of us really caught up on that.
And the second Xbox, they had like a Stalker 2 like thing talking about their experiences. It was just it was a sad video, honestly. It was very sad. But it was also a little bit badass to see like the narrative director being like, hey, I'm here defending my country, and he has like a gun and everything. He's like, after I'm done defending my country, I'll go back to the game.
So they're currently paused on development?
I don't know if the video was recorded prior, because they did say on Twitter that they're continuing development now. But you see the narrative director and a bunch of other people from the studio just up in arms and uniforms and everything.
Yeah, whatever you agree or disagree with, if somebody's in the middle of a war, gaming is quite literally the lowest of your expectations from those people. So it's going to be, those things will be delayed. Atomic Heart, we saw nothing on, right?
Oh yeah, third-person mode for Village. Yeah, Atomic Heart, we didn't see anything on.
Third-person mode for Village might be fun.
Yeah, Village is getting a couple of things. Story DLC.
Good. Okay.
Was shown. And some mercenaries mode, whatever that is.
Mercenary. So co-op, like 2 people running around building shit? That might be fun. I don't. Yeah. Man, I don't remember much about Village, to be brutally honest, man. That was not... I think for a lot of people, they considerably like it better than most all other Resident Evils, but it did not resonate with me for some reason. Not in that same level. But that's a lot of stuff I've noticed, I don't want to say old games, but a lot of what we just talked about is like the remakes of stuff, the continuation of IPs we already know about, and then a bunch of patches for current stuff. Not bad ones, by the way, but it was interesting to see all that. We didn't see anything from Remedy on the Xbox event or PlayStation event. Go ahead.
The multiplayer thing is Resident Evil Reverse, and that's coming end of October.
Boy, October is going to be smashed, guys. I don't know if you guys have tracked this, but like into July, into December is now ridiculous. Like, and I know people will be like, oh man, it's, February was this. February had 3 big games. I honestly believe that the end of the year has more, like, at minimum equals out, if not just more. Technically, I'm interested in at this end of this year than I was even at the starting of the year. And I think that's because a lot of people might not like Horizon or might not like Elden Ring. Where with this, there's so many titles that's getting content or so many things coming out. There's definitely a lot of stuff. What else do we have? Let's see.
So
Todd
the
Howard
Mercenaries
hinted
mode is
Fallout 5
apparently
might be made while
hard.
working with another developer. Okay. What? Sorry, Reg.
No, I was just reading chat, and there's that mercenary mode for Resident Evil is basically a horde mode where you can play.
I'd
as
play that.
different characters.
I'd play that for sure.
One of my favorite parts of Resident Evil 4 was the mercenaries mode in that game.
Was it? Because Fallout 4 was beefy Fallout. Or I'm sorry, not Fallout 4. We're talking about Resident Evil. Resident Evil 4 was the beefy one, right? Where you're two huge, or was that 5? Where
No,
you're like,
that was that was 5. Yeah.
What was
4 was Leon Kennedy with the like sort of Spanish countryside.
Oh, let's all mention something. Nothing about Code Veronica. Dude, it is quite literally now the Batman Origins of the Resident Evil series. It will get not talked about. It will get no updates and no remakes. For whatever reason, Code Veronica just never. Just
no love.
It's almost like, yeah, it's almost like. I mean, if you understand what I mean with Batman Origins, isn't even included in the packs. Like they pretend it doesn't exist because it was made by a different company, but it's still one of my favorites. And Code Veronica is the same way. For whatever reason, you just never hear anything. And they're doing remakes of everything else. So we just don't hear anything about Code Veronica at all. And man, I really liked it. Plague Soul says, "Did you talk about the Capcom event?" Yeah, in detail for sure. Let's see. I loved Resident Evil 8, my favorite since RE4. There you go. Man, dude, I can't remember anything about I can't remember anything about Village. You're in a village. I remember that much.
Yeah, man.
I mean, Mercenaries had one of the most for 4 had one of the most satisfying aspects with like playing Hunk, the umbrella soldier type character in the Mercenaries mode. He had this, like every character had special moves, and Hunk's was like a neck breaker where if you stunned the enemy by shooting them in the head, he could do a finishing move where he could just snap their neck and they would instantly die.
Oh,
and
wow.
he could do that even on like potentially powerful enemies.
Oh, dude,
so,
that's cool. That's awesome.
So like the chainsaw wielding guys that were usually pretty powerful and could be threatening to other characters, Hunk could just like shoot them in the head and just move up and then neck snap them. And you got into this ballet almost where you would just pop someone in the head, neck snap. Pop someone in the head, neck snap, and you just move from enemy to enemy to enemy to enemy in the sort of never-ending dance that lasted until the round was over. That felt really, really satisfying to get through.
Be cool to see if that ends up playing out the same way.
Apparently, you can play as Big Mom AD.
What?
Apparently, in the RE8 Mercenaries, you can play the Big Mama
the tall chick.
Jumbo.
Yeah. I mean, of course. Yeah, right? She was such a fan favorite. Yeah. A lot of people have a squish fantasy of some kind.
That's what we found out.
No, it's true.
A lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people have a really big, I like giant women fantasy.
Something about being stepped on. Like,
yeah.
We don't judge, but come on, guys.
No, we do.
What do you mean, guys?
Fully.
I'm down.
Fully.
Hello.
Speaking of moving on and not talking about creepy shit, let's go with indie game of the week there, Silver. What do you got?
I have a game that a lot of people have been looking forward to for a very long time. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Like we've been waiting like 20 years more or less to a decent follow-up to Turtles in Time or Across Time. I don't remember what it was called exactly. One of the best 2D beat-em-ups of all time. We've had sort of attempts to recapture that magic in the meantime that have been with varying success. Most, like the high bar there has really been sort of middling, but I'm happy to report that so far Shredder's Revenge is really, really good. I was really surprised to see just the array of moves you have available to you from you have the dodge alone really, really changes the game up from something like Streets of Rage or even Asterix and Obelix from last year. And really sort of gives you a lot more tools to play around with.
So let me ask you a question, though, Silver. Can you pick... so 6 people can play this at once, correct?
Yeah.
Are there like 6 characters, or are there more than 6?
You start with 6,
You start
and then
with
you
6.
can unlock more.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
I
Yeah,
like
that it gives you a reason to replay. That's not just moves, but a full new character.
Yeah. You start with
The turtles.
like the 4 turtles, obviously, Splinter and
Splinter.
April O'Neil as the playable.
Okay.
characters.
Okay. Gotcha.
I'm gonna try that on Xbox Cloud. I think it's included, so that's a game.
Yeah,
that-
it's on Game Pass, I think. Yeah.
That seems rough for a cloud game. I guess not. I mean, it's not really requiring perfect. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm just thinking it requires perfect attack, but it doesn't. It looks good.
And I mean, and they even like they open up with the fun anime montage, like in the animated show, with a remix of the original animated theme song for
Awesome.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, really? Yeah.
on
See,
a
I haven't got a
show.
chance to check this out. I know Reg and I think Takedown played as well, co-op, right? And that no issues with co-op.
The only technical issue I have, but so far I haven't heard anyone else have that, it just won't launch on my PC at all. So I played on Xbox.
Yeah. I've heard some people report cross-play issues between
Wow.
Game Pass Win PC and Steam
Mm.
PC.
Gotcha.
I don't know whether those are true or not, but I saw that in the Steam review section.
So what do we got for
We
moves?
did
Do you have
play between the Windows Store version and the Xbox, and that worked without issues.
when it comes to moves, are we looking at like is it like light punch, heavy punch, light punch, or is it like tons of combo?
No.
Like, how does it?
You have you have the main attack, which is like just a single attack button, and then you can hold that button down for a heavy attack if you want. Then you have the super move, which accumulates a bar that you can then pull off.
What about combo moves?
Or I mean, combo moves aren't really they're not different buttons so much. Like they're not really like X X Y.
I apologize. I meant two
they're-
people. Can you do 2 people moves? Like, can you grab Shredder and throw him over your head?
No.
Or okay.
No, I mean you can't combine attacks in that way.
Okay.
Like there aren't 2 people like combining together for like an attack.
Okay.
In that way. No, but there are like you can. I mean there are combo counters that you need to get up high and whatnot, and that's easier to do when you can really combine it with a lot of jumping attacks, flipping around and stuff. That also helps you makes you feel like you are a Ninja Turtle, right?
We sold 4 shirts just now. Thank you very much to the person who bought 4 shirts, or 4 people who bought 1, or 8 people who bought a half of one. Silver, when you're doing the combos and you're doing the attacks, does it change when you go against a boss, or are there bosses?
There are bosses.
Okay.
And yeah, it changes because I mean, obviously they only take so much damage before they become sort of impervious to it. They don't keep staggering from your attacks, right?
Okay.
You can't stagger lock them. They're immune to that.
Did you like them? Are the bosses like cool? Like, what are they? I mean, are they robot or something, or are they?
No. I mean, you have stable Turtles characters. So
As
like
the
your first
bosses.
boss is like Bebop. Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, so you're not necessarily fighting Bebop when you're walking on the street. That might be a boss guy.
Yeah, he's the
I
boss.
see.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You're fighting just your regular garden variety foot soldiers or like mouse robots and stuff like
Okay,
that.
gotcha.
Getting to the various bosses.
Unlockable moves, or is it more
Not
just learning the
unlockable moves?
Okay.
No, you have all the moves to start with.
Does it look as nuts as the video looked to me, where it just looked insane sometimes? Does it go completely over the top when?
I mean, there are times when there's a lot of stuff going on the screen. Yeah, there are just like there were in the old arcade games.
Lost in chaos moments. Reg, did you notice a huge increase?
Especially because I mean, when you grab a foot soldier, you can throw them and you can hurl them in different directions. And like in Turtles in Time, back in the day, you can also hurl them at the screen. So they'll fly into the screen.
Oh, I love that.
And cover up the entire screen. And then if you do that by accident or whatever, while there's all the stuff going on the screen as well, it can get very chaotic.
So wait a minute, can I throw a guy to the other player, and then they could jump kick? Okay,
no.
I didn't know if that was even in the original or whatever.
Well, you can. I think you can throw them and they fly through the air, and then you can punch them and stagger them in the air, and then you could maybe combo like that. Yeah.
Reg, what were you gonna say? Did you and Takedown try
No,
that?
I was gonna say that some in chat said there are some team attack moves. So I
Oh,
was
good.
trying to
Okay,
figure
so
it out.
yeah,
Okay.
so you just haven't found them
I
yet.
just
That's
haven't
cool.
come
Apparently
across
there
them yet.
are a couple
I've also been playing it
that
alone,
work
so
in combination.
Yeah. When you're alone, is it you?
it's
Is-
just you. Yeah,
Okay.
you
so
don't have AI partners.
no AI
It's
partners
just
at all.
You. Yeah.
Man, this is awesome. Reg, who'd you play? What character did you pick?
Steady
doesn't
guy.
remember.
Stabby, Donatello,
Leonardo. Or-
Leonardo.
Or Raphael with the
Raphael.
side.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
and then who was Takedown? Another turtle? Were you guys two turtles?
Yeah, another
okay,
turtle, yeah.
because dude, somebody's got to tell me how Shredder is. Like Shredder's my
Yeah,
my jam.
I would go for Shredder.
yeah, dude. Shredder's my jam. Like that's awesome though, man. That's like, dude, that game scored really high. I don't know if you guys saw the scores. Like people definitely dig it. It's very cool because I just don't feel like we knew about that game very long ago. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people were talking about it, but it feels to me like it almost just popped up here recently as like a game that was actually coming out, or maybe they just showed it late. I don't know. Maybe
No, I mean there's been buzz for it for a couple of years.
Has there?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, Mr. Agent's laughing at our stabby guy. Hey, man, we're pretty close. Oh, Casey Jones. That's
Wow.
true, Plague. Casey Jones. I forgot. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, here, like I've heard like some people say he's super overpowered or something.
With his baseball bat, probably. Right?
How hockey stick?
Hockey stick. Yeah. Woo. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans right now are fucking rolling over in their grave. They're like,
Yeah.
it's a hockey stick. Can't you tell what's no, it's awesome, man. How much is it? How much is it? 19?
22, 23
22.
bucks, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not bad.
And
And
on
Game Pass. And on Game
Yeah.
Pass. Man.
Yep.
That's another thing we came out of the event. Like, everything's Game Pass. It's ridiculous. It was ridiculous watching that Xbox event. Just be like, Game Pass.
Yeah.
Jay Venn says you can heal teammates and revive each other.
Yeah, I mean, not only can you can heal them by like inspiring them. Like I saw that in the tutorial.
What, you mean like
which
giving
I
them a
found really
speech?
interesting. Yeah, like just say, "Come on, man!" Like, and then
I have a dream.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was watching someone play,
and
I
you'll
saw
take
someone.
so like it'll take like 2 hit points off you and give it to your teammate.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool. I saw someone playing, and in order to fill up his special power meter, he like taunted the enemies. Like went to a corner and went like, "Hey, come on, come here," or whatever the fuck.
Oh,
like, the
really?
taunt is.
There's a
And then
lot
it
more in
filled
the
up
game
their-
than that. Like,
Build up their special.
they've definitely added
There's-
some stuff. That's
There's a lot of depth there.
we got some members in here. I keep forgetting that. But Javier says, Shredder slaps so hard. It's crazy how that gameplay loop works so well after all these years. But I think it's not only gameplay loop from after all these years. It sounds like they've added stuff because some of this stuff doesn't.
Yeah,
I don't.
they have a lot.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't
you
remember
have
from
no-
the original.
Like from what I remember, there was no dodge button in the original.
Gotcha. Okay,
No, there wasn't. Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
it's fucking awesome that that's on Game Pass, man. I mean, totally. Oh, wait. Bane says, I know this is off topic. As a guy going into med school, I've lost my passion for gaming. With you gentlemen being wise and older, hey, fuck you, man. You could be 80. We don't know.
Yeah.
Have you had any rough patches with your love of gaming? No. There's always been something for me.
I mean, I've gotten jaded by some games, like Cyberpunk. I waited 8 years for, and then I was pretty jaded. But no, there was always good alternatives.
Nobody
And
had
even this moment.
nobody has had as much of a jaded moment as Absy in Cyberpunk. I can tell you guys.
Oh dear
that.
God, you don't know. But
No, I know.
But that
I
made me
saw it.
appreciate other games more. Where
Yeah.
where I launched Red Dead, and I was like, holy shit, look at this! I can sit in a chair.
I remember
and
you
drink
came
at
out
the
of that and
bar.
were like, I think I learned more about games by a failure than I did by
Yeah,
like
I
if
was-
that had been good.
I
Yeah.
learned to appreciate games more because of how bad Cyberpunk was, which was, always look at the positive side of things.
Yeah. I mean, sandpaper hand job, still hand job, right?
Oh God, no.
I mean, I think it's just normal to sort of have waning interest that fluctuate.
Yeah, it goes up and
There-
down depending.
There are
yeah.
times when you're more interested in gaming, then there are times when other stuff interests you more, and then you come back to gaming. And I mean, that's just a natural part of life. That's how it goes.
For me, I think a natural part of life for me is always having gaming, though. So I am a little different in
Yeah.
that way. If that makes sense. Like even prior to
No, yeah,
YouTube,
I
I
mean, for me too.
yeah.
For me,
Reg,
it's
Do
usually
you find
hang on,
for
Reg.
me,
you're
it's
saying.
usually specific games that kind of kill the mood or make it hard for me to find a follow-up game. Like the first time I did a Choice of book, for example, where I thought the story was just so much better than most video game stories.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Or the whole Trails series, where I thought, why don't we have more games that have like 9 games of one overarching story?
Right. And it's hard not to carry that. Go ahead. No, it's no worries. It is hard when you have that game that does like hit. For example, for me, it would be Bully.
That for me, that raises the bar so high, at least for a while, that everything else I look at is like, it's not as good.
Have you guys caught yourself in a fiction? Because I have. So like post-apocalyptic has been my thing for like 3 years, where like I'm almost always looking for that. That's the only waning thing I think I find. Westerns became a big deal for Red Dead, where once I played Gun, but then Red Dead Gun, and then I was always looking for like slightly Western-based stuff. Like,
I get those, yeah. I get into different moods.
Yeah. Well, I think what happens now is that most games are like average to bad. However, I think with the summer of games this year, we had a lot of good games announced. Yeah, I don't think that's true. I think it can appear true, but you have to do. How about this? Your level of searching has to go higher.
Yeah,
you can't also just have it fed you.
Because the volume is so much larger. Yeah.
Abzi, what were you saying?
Also, like what you're interested in general. Like I hear a lot of the same thing where it's like, oh, gaming is bad now. What happened? And it's like, dude, there's so many good games out there.
Hey, I had to live through Data East releasing games. So when somebody tries to tell me gaming is bad now, I'm like, dude, I lived through bad. I lived through bad where there was a console with 300 titles total. There's now 300 games a day released.
And one of it was E.T.
And one of it was E.T. But no, it's just like, to me, I think your level of requirement for you to find something good might fluctuate because maybe you don't hear about a game. Maybe the trailers are on these big titles you don't care about. But guys, I'm telling you, take 5 minutes. And yes, search is terrible on Steam, but there's other systems that search Steam even better than Steam would ever do. And when you jump in there,
Steam database.
Steam database is a database.
There are outlets or YouTube channels that help curate that stuff for you.
Yeah.
And find those like indie games or whatever it is you're looking for.
Yep.
That may not have been on your radar.
Yep. Let's talk about games that people may not know about and games that are free, Reg. Free games of the week.
Very short list again, though.
Whoops.
So just a heads up. Free for everyone on the Epic Game Store is Supraland, which is a pretty good game. And on Steam, currently free is Ark Survival Evolved with, I think, all DLC. So you can grab the whole thing. Onto subscription stuff, PC Game Pass has Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, and coming next week, Total War 3 Kingdoms. And the Game Pass for console, for Xbox, has also Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Xbox games with gold, Project High Rise Architects Edition, and Rascals. That's the end of the list.
Oh, wow. Super short list. Ridiculously short list. But that also indicates there's a ton of games already on those services free. We're just talking about the new ones. There's also some games leaving. And just so people know, we will be trying to figure out a way to cover that in an intelligent, fast way.
I forgot about one. GOG, also completely free, Beautiful Desolation.
Was that good?
I think that's one you reviewed.
I think I reviewed, yes. And it was like ages ago. Very old game. Like 2016 kind of old. 2017, if I remember right.
Oh my God,
I don't remember loving it.
2020.
2020. Not as old.
Oh my God, 2020 is old.
Well, I mean, with the number of games, it's
True,
certainly
there's
maybe not old. Maybe the distance is extended, but I mean, there's a ton of free stuff that you can definitely get that's already on these systems too. We're just reading the brand new free ones, guys, so that everybody knows. Abzi, do you have a list of games, big games that got updated?
Yeah. First one is GTFO.
Oh, really? Cool, yeah, it is a cool game. What got updated?
So they added 10 new expeditions, new dangers, so new enemies and all that. They updated the music system, more optimization, obviously, and they heavily improved player bots. A huge issue with that game I had was that you need 4 players to be able to play well. So player bots being improved, it's nice to see that.
What did they do with the music, does it say?
No, just updated music system. I think maybe music in some
Stingers,
places, or
triggers,
new
that kind of
music,
stuff. Yeah.
Right.
stuff like that. Yeah. They just updated and improved upon. They removed and added weapons. So they removed old weapons and added new weapons. I think that game goes through kind of seasons or something where the levels always change and there's weapons that change and all that stuff. Core Keeper, which is like a top-down Minecraft thing, got a new biome called the Sunken Sea with its own sub-biome. There's also new NPCs in there, a new boss, a new side boss, 5 new enemy types, new mechanics, and boats. There's a boat now. Dying Light got a pretty big update. There's a new NPC called the Chapter Agent, which is basically like a link for the player to the new features, and you're basically supposed to assist him with stuff. And there's a rank system where they describe it as the bond between you and the agent. The more jobs you do for the agent, the stronger the bond you have with him, and that entails daily and weekly bounties. And with those stuff that you do, there's new unlockable weapons and new outfits. They added 2 new currencies. Nothing you pay with real money, just like stuff you earn in the game doing these jobs and using that to unlock those new weapons and outfits. They also added new enemies and new time trials and a photo mode, because a lot of people wanted a photo mode, so they added that, and just a ton of bug fixes and shit. And that's all.
It's funny to hear about GTFO because that was a game that was not healthy for my friend circle.
Oh no, yeah, same here. Yeah.
You mean Blame? Blame was the Blame game being played?
Oh, Blame
game?
Like I had
like people got mad at others. Yeah.
I play with there are like 3 people in my friend circle I play with regularly, like Lemon and then 2 others, and like those 2 others, like they had 2 major fights in on 2 separate sessions of that game.
Oh wow.
That just were with one of them like eventually rage quitting. Yeah. Both times.
Wow.
So it's just a fair warning.
Yeah, no, that game, because it's a very high stress game, and if anyone fucks up, the whole run is fucked up. So yeah, friend groups
Yeah, it does have a free weekend currently, so
yeah. So if you want to burn bridges, I was gonna say you can freely get rid of friends. Jump on in there with people.
To really stress test your friendships.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I do want to read. Somebody asked me if I'll review Hard West. I will if I get a chance. We were laughing about how many West games there are recently. So Weird West, Hard West, and there was another one, Dead West or something like that. And then somebody else was asking, does 3D audio make a difference in game experience? And can any headphones work with it? Yes. So just so you know, there are multiple software. Razer has one that's actually considered fairly good for a fake 3D in headphones. But any headphones can use them. Then there are headphones that also are particularly set up with their own DAC, their digital analog converter, that do that. But yeah, 3D, I mean, it depends on the game. But some games, 3D audio, I mean, it's true. Hunt Showdown is probably one of the best games you'll ever play with like, good surround. We call it 3D surround, but Far Cry Primal. You will get people saying what's the difference between surround and 3D, and that definitely is sort of a discussion because there's fake as well. There's like where it's just completely processed that sounds like shit, like Windows Sonic.
From that, I think the hardest.
Or PlayStation 3D.
Yeah, I've had good and bad luck with that. One game was great, the rest have not been good.
Horizon? No.
Didn't work. Gotcha. What were you going to say?
The hardest thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, the hardest thing, like especially in like Escape from Tarkov and stuff, where they have the most issues with 3D audio, is like people on top of you or under you.
Height,
basically. You know what I mean? Because the in a 2D plane, it's easier, but then when it comes to the Z axis or X axis, it gets kind of tricky. Yeah,
it's like I have all the software, all the DACs. All kinds of stuff is like Reg was talking about with 3D from the Tempest engine is great. Microsoft has their own engine. They just didn't choose to highlight it like Sony. And I can tell you height's always the number one problem. I mean, you're wearing headphones. You have to fake it. And faking it requires just a shit ton of work. And it just doesn't make sense to say it'll be as good as like actual speakers.
It's such a huge part of particularly stealth gameplay.
For games. Sure. Yeah.
Because I mean, I've lost count of the number of stealth games where I go oh no, I can hear somebody. They're right here, like they're right on the other side.
Yeah.
And then you go around the corner and they're like 50 feet down the
50
hall.
feet away. One of my favorite games of all time, Silver, is that Hunter game. The Hunt game I play, the Hunter Call of the Wild. And its audio will have an animal sound like they're 10 feet in front of you. You'll go around a corner, and for whatever reason, they've augmented it. And that fucking deer is like 6, and that's all you do when you're
bear, dude.
Or the bear that I think Absy saw one single time, and I was seeing it was like glinting in and out, and then sounded like it was over here, and we look over there, and then it was over here, and you were just like, "What's happening?" It was like Predator, but it has to be right and it's very difficult. And I love headphones, but dude, the difference between like even a 5.1 and headphones is pretty. Like, it's pretty ridiculous. Headphones are great, but it's pretty ridiculous if you have a home system and the first time you hear a sound actually emit from behind you, that's like, okay, I get it now. So, but yeah, it definitely, it's a huge deal in the right game. But I would say good sounds are even more of a big deal. When I play Call of Duty, I know their guns will probably sound great, and I'll get a game where the guns don't sound great, and that's almost more of a deal for me than like having it perfectly 3D audio. I love the sound of a good sample of a gun. Black from the PlayStation 1? 2. Black is still considered to be one of the best sounding games of all time for its weapons. And
Battlefield was as well, right?
One or two of the Battlefields have had issues, but I would say overall the Battlefield games are still like Call of Duty, where most of the time you can expect not all the time.
Fuck, what's that?
Mutagong says, I love you from Sweden. Been listening every minute you guys created. Oh, wow. Thank you very much. By the way,
Can almost
Rogerio.
forgive you that you're from Sweden.
Almost. Rogerio, I found out, is the same guy who followed me back in the day when I reviewed that Praise from the Sun game. Something Earth, man. Like Battle. It's one of the worst games I've ever played in my life. And I want to say thanks for the long-term listeners. It's always crazy to hear that. Recommend default 3D on EFT. I don't know what you're talking about there. Surround would clash with Hunt's audio. Yeah, it would.
Oh, on Escape from Tarkov's, the default 3D versus.
Oh, I'm sorry. Escape from Tarkov. Do you know what the best 3D audio is? And I challenge you. To tell me there's not better 3D audio. Aural 3D. AURAL 3D. That Creative bought and ruined. Creative bought it and literally won't use it. But if you back in the day when that was released, it was true 3D audio. It was beyond belief. And Creative did the thing that big companies do and bought that shit and guttered it. And we've never seen it since. And you would hear people talking about it back in the day. And this is years ago. This is like more than a decade ago, I think, when they were bought. It was like AURAL 3D. Roush says, does anyone know if Jeremy's hair has ever been seen in public? He's always wearing a beanie. As someone who is bald, he rocks the beanies well. I'm not bald, and I do have hair. But I would just...
There you go.
Yeah. It's
not
awesome
that there's
now.
anything wrong with it.
No. Sorry, Johnny.
Dynamic style.
Yeah. I also don't show you my back hair either. I challenge you. Hellblade, Sin, a Sacrifice. Oh, that one. Yes. That game's 3D audio might be the best.
And I was trying
Sasuna Sacrifice. How the fuck do we pronounce that, by the way? Senua's Sacrifice might have the best use because it's not guns. And it's voices talking to you in your brain. That was
I think that game is also designed around headphones.
It is. As a matter of fact, they even say for the best experience of this game, don't even use speakers. Use headphones. Yeah, that is true.
I was trying to remember like a game with really, really good gun sounds, and someone said in chat it was Insurgency Sandstorm. And that was one that I was like,
it's even in my video I'm doing, Insurgency Sandstorm. And by the way, guys, when we're talking about impact, because I'm gonna do the video on why people were saying, in particular, Starfield's stuff looked bad. It's not only sound; it's like the animation when you see that recoil, like we saw in Calico or Callisto.
Callisto, yeah.
It matters so much, but sound is a big deal because have you guys ever shot in a game and you hear that fucking shot come off of the mountains or something? So like if you've ever gone hunting, you fire a gun, you'll hear that shit bounce off like a mountain miles away and come back. And when you get that in a game, there's such an awesome feeling, like especially a sniper rifle or something big when you're firing that. It's so good. Let's see what other stuff. What about Hunt Showdown? Oh, we were just talking about audio. Let's see. Hunt Showdown, any fun playing alone? Yeah, not as fun. Sort of like Silver talking about Shredder's Revenge. I mean, they can be played alone, but it's not their strong point, right? I mean,
it's meant to be sort of team versus team.
Yeah, it feels better as a group. What about Rambo the video game? Are you talking about Sega fucking Master System Rambo, baby? Because I own that still. Let's see. Guns and Darktide sound epic. I would say so as well. Darktide so far might be the best trailer I've seen for a game in representing what I want in a game.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
It's hitting on all cylinders.
It is pretty ridiculous. Like, that was one of the first times where I've been like, pretty much everything I want so far, at least, has been like, the trailer represents exactly what I was
The gunplay looks great. The melee looks great. Like, fuck, man. I just.
Well, you were talking about Space Marine, Silver. Have they showed footage of Space Marine 2? Footage.
Yeah, I mean,
game.
In the original trailer, there was some gameplay footage.
There was some, wasn't there? But I mean, that game also I like, but that's more you're a big dude. Like the impact. Space Marine doesn't really have a lot of impact.
Right?
He just chops.
And they did also. I think the stuff they showed at the PC gaming show was from the trailer, but I don't entirely remember. But they did show Titus like wading through like a horde of like Tyranids.
Well, that's the excitement too, because Tyranids, almost all the enemies in Warhammer are Legion. Like you get the main guy like Horus or something. That's a main guy, but who does he use?
An orc
Legions.
wall. That's like the definition of an orc wall.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Even the Skaven played out that way.
Marine.
Yeah. So to me, like, I actually think Darktide. Yeah, Darktide it's ridiculous. Like that's one of the best I've seen in a long time. Let's see, what else do we got? Oh, what do we got for questions there, Johnny? In our chat, Brian, $10. Love you guys. Usually listen on demand, but was able to catch you live. Best gaming podcast ever. You turned me on to so many great games I would have missed.
Thank you very much, brother.
I'm fucking glad, man. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, instead of being like, here's the 10 games I hate. I know people expect that, but it's like, dude, seriously, anybody, we can all do that because there's a lot more than 10.
Outrage content in the YouTube is huge, and the hating on things is content. But this is a place
pretending to critique stuff just so you can say Ubisoft games suck, and you're just like, dude, have you
fucked it up?
It's like where they're reviewing the company and not the game, and you're like, I don't know if this is good representation. What do we got for questions, Johnny?
This one from Jesus Crust.
All right,
I was impressed.
He's got a question every single week.
Every single week. I was impressed with the showcase and presentations in the past couple weeks. Yep. That it made me forget that E3 didn't happen this year. What do you think E3 and other big events need to do to bring back the magic?
I think that magic's gone pretty much. I think we've moved past that by now.
Silver's right. Silver gave my answer.
Yeah, I agree.
Reg?
Well, I've agreed for a long time that E3 is.
I think from a watcher standpoint, I'm good, right, with this. But I do appreciate that there are a lot of people who love the gathering aspect and the kind of networking.
Let's go network.
Man, two of my favorite or my least favorite words are like let's collaborate and let's network.
Let's collab.
I'm like, dude, I'm not a LAN cable, bitch. I will talk to you if I want to talk to you, and I'll work with you if I want to work with you. I don't like collaboration. The term is
what I will
dirty.
say though is I don't know. Well, as like just a player, consumer, I don't care at all. Like the show format is totally fine that they got now. But I don't know, as a developer, especially as an indie, if you're missing out on some contacts you usually got at those shows.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's hope PAX and stuff take their game up. And if we can get these other ones to take their game up, maybe E3 can continue to be... I mean, guys, what are we calling it? Not E3? Isn't that the joke? I think the joke right now is to call it not E3. I think I've even seen that. If we look at not E3 this year, it's one of the best events that I've seen. There's been games everywhere. So technically, instead of having these companies fight each other for like who's got there's something about Microsoft is like, we're not going Monday, we're going Sunday. And you're like, Jesus, that's not even a fucking work day. Like, what do we, and I remember when Microsoft first made that announcement, you're like, come on, guys. And now it's you do what you want to do. Sony's got a sometimes monthly event. What is that called? State of Play. Which admittedly, I think they should do better on. especially because they're video recordings. You would think they'd be higher, more like snappy. But I like it, man. I like it. Dude, there's so many this year. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. I think till now, though, my favorite event was 2018 Game Awards, where they announced Outer Worlds, and there was just so much hype everywhere. I loved that show.
Let me give you a corresponding shittiest event ever. When the Kinect was shown and everybody was wearing fucking raincoats.
Oh, no.
See, that's it. That's the thing, right? Like, you have this, and nobody remembers the middle ground. And you had Milo, or you have Milo. Jesus Christ, Milo.
Remember 2013?
Dude, that was so bad.
Remember 2013 where like the PS4 came out and the new Xbox came out, and they showed all these trailers for like The Division and Destiny and what was the other one? Watch Dogs. And the games came out and they were nothing like the trailers they showed.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, nobody did that shit, dude. That was so funny.
I mean, I think that's also a positive we get is, it might, hope should be tempered a little bit with what you're actually seeing on the screen versus, and then over time we'll get accustomed to it. And I think there'll be even less, not worry, but people will have a little bit more of because I even see people say, I miss the excitement. And I'm like, dude, I don't know if I would rather have you not have that excitement. I don't know I don't want to be a killjoy. I'd rather have you have a factual look and go, this is what I'm seeing.
Like Neon White, it's a smaller game.
Yeah.
But I never heard of that before.
Exactly.
And this last show, like just a couple days, like maybe a week before it launched, not even that, I learned about it and it was out and it's perfect.
Yeah, no, that's a good example.
I have really little interest in learning about games like
6 years out. Yeah, right. Well, I mean, you could say Darktide's the same way. We didn't know what Darktide was going to be. Remember how many times we're like, we haven't seen Darktide, and then suddenly they showed it. I'm like, it's out pretty soon, 2 months, whatever, and it looks amazing. And we got multiple indies that were shown and already out, and we have some big games as well. So, like, yeah. I mean, whatever. It is what it is, but
it's a good time to be a gamer.
It's a good time to. No, that's just it. It is a good time.
Yeah,
it's like
such a good time.
It's phenomenal.
It's the best time. It's the best time.
It is because I had to buy my games, bitches. I didn't have no subscription. I had to work. I had to wash cars to get one game.
I mean, not only that, but just look at the sheer breadth of options you have as a gamer in terms of the games you can play. You have everything from like Call of Duty to like simulator games like Flight Simulator or like Truck Simulator or like real-time strategy, Total War. You have Paradox,
like 20,000
almost every genre. Remember when a genre would be skipped for years, and now it's not that way.
Click games, classic 2D platformer,
a ton of them, by the way.
Roguelites. You have JRPGs, you have CRPGs, you have pretty much whatever you want. It's there.
Yeah, I think especially now, you brought something up that I'd forgot. I used to know almost every point and click because they weren't represented very well. And now you got ace developers. You have good luck. You have ace developers that are like knocking out. What's the one company that does they do multiple, they did Technobabble. What is that?
Looking like they did
I think only
as well.
Yeah, I think only one of their games
has ones?
Yeah, and I think only one of their games has been not like what I would consider to be a great game.
Wadget Eye, the publisher.
Yeah, Wadget Eye. Yeah, dude. And that's a point and click's pretty, I mean, technically is probably considered a really, really niche when you really look at it. And now Simulator, by the way. Dude. Thief Simulator devs just released a game that is fucking amazing, by the way. It's 80s. Oh my God, I have it. It's called 80s VCR something. It is basically 1980s Thief Simulator. And one of the guys in the chat, I didn't even know this was coming out. I downloaded it, started playing it, and it is phenomenal. It's called come on. American Theft 1980. That game shows that like every kind of simulator game is out now. That's another thing I love. Remember when it started out, it was like you just had a flight game, and now it's like car detail simulator. I've already spent 9 hours in. That's
you have-
ridiculous.
And all those crazy games that like random developers are making. I know everyone hates on early access, and I don't even like to play early access games, but it's allowed these like random devs to make these games
that are weird.
Like I've always wanted a SWAT game ever since SWAT 4 or whatever the fuck the last one came out, and we haven't had that until like Ready or Not, which is an early access on Steam.
Yep.
But fuck me, it's a SWAT game and it's sick. So it's a good time because like there's opportunities as well for all these random devs that have really good ideas to push it forward.
Yeah, it's and that also speaks to the engines too. I mean, we're seeing these engines catch up.
Yeah.
On top of that, you have games that really sort of push what we can actually do with the medium, like Kind Words, which is a game about writing like kind letters to each other, to the community.
That was an indie game you covered like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
And you have Before I Forget, which is a game that tries to show you, gives you a window into what it's like to like struggle with Alzheimer's and dementia as an elderly person, and sort of lose your sense of self. And
This Dragon Cancer covered cancer for a child.
Yeah. And so many other games.
Not that it's a happy-go-lucky game. I just want
that explore all that entire field of what can video games actually be used for outside of just being like entertainment.
Well, look at Reg. He finally got into the choice of games, which technically are very close to not being games in what.
Yeah.
I mean, in what people might assume but they're cheap and they have some of the best storytelling and still have full characters.
Do have game stuff like
they have RPG.
They do have stats tracking. You can level up stuff.
Yep, and I know we're getting to the point to where now it's just a text adventure. Those have existed also since the early days. Like I grew up on Zork and shit, but it's friggin' awesome. It's like it is. You do have to look a little bit, but there's so many amazing games.
The audio only games that are also great.
Yeah. You actually covered the one that was like where you could you not see anything, or could you just see top? Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Let's see. Marco says a Catholic priest simulator, extra points for starting an ice cream shop.
Dude, did Xbox Live Arcade pave the way for indie games?
On consoles, yes. There were always indie games because itch.io and stuff, or even prior to that, there was the ModDB.
Yeah.
ModDB was huge.
Was one before that.
Yeah. But I think for consoles, you can hate it all you want, but like Xbox has actually ushered in multiple entire ecosystems that were not here
like
prior.
I know that Desera, that platform has been dead for ages now, but they already had like an early access format and indie games fund.
They did have
like
yeah, they did. I forgot all about that. Yeah, dude, it's pretty cool. Not to wax poetic, but like when you do look at the old stuff, you definitely do get people forgetting how. I mean, dude, you didn't get anything for free. Some games were set. I bought racing sim. What was that? Virtual Racing for the Sega Genesis was like $109 because it had an extra chip in it.
And I mean, we talked about this on the early podcast, but I mean, back in the day, you had to like if your game was broken. It was broken.
Oh, that was
You were lucky if you could find like a patch with a CD-ROM with like a PC gaming magazine or something. Yep. That you could then get onto your PC and then install it. Like that was a roll of the dice.
There was a website called Elder Patches, I think, or something Elder Patch, where you could find all the patches, and it was quite easy to find all the patches for games because most games weren't fucking patched. So you'd go there and you'd be like the letter M, and there'd be like 9. Yeah. That was it, because there were 9 companies that had patched their game that started with an M. It was I played
before Steam was really a thing. There were also standalone patch managers to keep all your games up to date.
Sure, yeah. Stein's Bebop, $5. Finally caught the podcast. Love you guys. Cheers. Thank you very much. What else we got for questions there, Johnny?
Okay, we got a few. There's one here where they're saying we didn't mention their question. I think we did, but I'm just going to read it, and you guys will tell me if we did or not. If there will be augmentation technology... Sorry, this is from Mad Clown.
Okay.
If there will be augmentation technology in the future, like in Deus Ex, do you go for it? And if yes, how far would you go?
I don't remember that. I think we
Yes,
maybe
I
missed
would.
it.
Didn't.
Let's hit it.
So you mean mods like eye mods and stuff, like like
I would
bionics?
imagine-
Bionics?
Transhumanism.
Transhumanism. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would definitely get Neuralink. Like that's something tangible and probably gonna.
I would get
it'll
eye
come out soon.
stuff if as long as it wasn't in my eye, but like contacts and stuff. I mean, once you go into my body, we need to talk. Like, dude, I like that would be different. But external stuff.
If it's very secure and people don't hack it, I would augment for sure, dude. I want to be superhuman. Yeah.
Dude, I want some super legs so I can jump a building or something. Yeah, man. Fuck
Dude,
yeah.
here's the problem. You got super legs, but what if you fall slightly forward and catch with your hands? Both your wrists will shatter like Tom Cruise's leg.
Well, then augment your hands too.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
At that point, just make your whole self a
Damn.
cyborg.
But yeah, then exactly. Then at that point, you're all
Well,
in.
we're a step away. The honest truth is you got it with a cell phone already. You do. So
Yes, it's
all
like an
that we're
extension.
really talking about is just how do you get it? Well, we got glasses now, but they're not the greatest, but we've got that. And then the contacts as of last year were already being tested out. And that's where we are. I mean, you could also say diabetes. I mean, some people have insulin pumps already. I think the idea would be to get those inside of somebody so they're not external. Colostomy bags are external stuff. Some of that kind of stuff people are working on figuring out a way.
I also forgot who, but very recently I saw this on Reddit. They're testing nano machines that go fight off cancer cells.
Yes, yeah. Well, did you see
they said.
also? I don't know if you saw, but the brand new test that they did, where every single person with cancer is in remission from this one particular
Yes.
test, and they
Yeah,
were
yeah,
just like no one. People are like diving on it, going like testing to verify that they didn't fuck up their numbers because they're like, it's the first time ever in a test where every single
fucking
person is
amazing.
in remission, and you're just like, if that's true, then and of course all cancers are different, but for that particular one, what else do we got?
I mean, it's-
John? Oh, go ahead.
It's
That's over.
it's a difficult question, especially. I mean, if you're like me and your body is essentially broken and
Yeah.
breaking down increasingly, like my answer would be no. Like I don't actually want. I wouldn't want, even though my legs hurt me a lot. I don't want new legs. Like artificial legs, especially. I think it's partially inside my brain. There's a border there that the legs would also be supplied. Who would supply the legs? Like it would be like a corporation, and the idea of like walking around with Samsung legs.
Yeah, no shit.
Samsung.
What is it with you and Samsung?
It doesn't matter. I love the idea. I love it.
Like,
Let's Samsung him up,
Samsung
bitches.
legs, dude.
but on the other hand, like I wouldn't necessarily have the same objection to like a pacemaker, which is also sort of an artificial stimulant in my body. It's just there is something about like artificially changing my body in that sense, because my body is me.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but I don't think I would.
It's mine.
I don't think I would get better stuff. Like eyes
Right.
that could see a PDA style, maybe. But if you were to start telling me you're going to replace your legs, like what Johnny was saying, I worry about all the other stuff. I'm like, no, because then
Right.
it would cause this. And like you said, my body's my body. I don't think I would adjust that. But internally, like you said, I agree. Like a pacemaker's different. That's a passive killing machine. Your heart is always ready to kill you at any time.
Yeah.
You'll see people at 29 just die. And you'll be like, seriously? That's a shitter. They didn't have pain like you have to manage. They just died. I think a lot of people would probably say if you could make it so that wouldn't kill you randomly. Most people, I would assume most people would want it. But body horror is what you're talking about also, Silver.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't want to see a prosthetic arm. No fucking way. Unless I had to.
No, and I mean,
But I wouldn't replace a good arm. I would not want to replace my own good arm with a fucking metal arm right now. That's body horror to me. It's like removing a part of me.
You would have like, would you even own the legs, or like would you be like part of like a digital?
And what if the company went out of
user
business?
Subscription
where the
service.
company owns the
What if
legs?
Xbox went
And-
down and
and
suddenly your
if-
legs don't work?
It's
And
like
if
owning
suddenly you
games on
can't-
Steam.
And if suddenly like you can't make the payments on the legs, do they come and
Yeah.
reassess them? Like what?
Yeah, there's a
Like,
lot there.
There's a whole like litany of issues there for me.
What else you got there,
So
Johnny? Oh, go ahead, Reg.
well, I haven't gotten.
I know. I
that
just didn't
chance.
think you had an
And I want
answer.
to say, for me, the answer would be hell yeah, and it would be actually my eyes because they're degrading anyway. So get me some new ones.
Do you have like an actual like stigmatism kind of stuff, or Krakatoa, or whatever the fuck that one's
my
called.
my
yeah.
retina is slowly degrading.
Yeah. Well, and I had lenses replaced. I got cataracts when I was younger, and they were instant. I mean, like, it was like 1 week blind. And I can tell you, that's a shitter. I think most people would go with eyes. 'Cause eyes are also dangerously weak. It's one of the few things we walk around with that are open and so prone to injury. Like, dude, I don't know if you guys saw, but this one lady, she picked up her baby, and the baby scratched her eye. She's totally lost her eye. And you're like, dude, why have humans not figured out a way to, like, why has our DNA not said, shit, eyes are getting killed all the time. We need to, fix ourselves.
Yeah.
Eyes are
interesting
something I
that
think a lot of people
all of you mentioned the fact, except Reg, that the fact that, like, your leg, for example, is you. I actually fundamentally don't think that way. For me,
You'd be okay
I'm
with
my
it.
brain.
Yeah, true. No, I know a lot of people would agree with that. Yeah.
But
So I have a
I
question.
mean, it's not just my legs that it's the entire thing.
I have a question, Johnny.
Also my brain.
Let's say, let's say somebody came to you for a they wanted to test this, right?
no.
Okay.
I'm not being an A patient.
Yeah, okay,
No.
gotcha. That's what I was wondering is, so you're saying you want
Bro.
something that's fairly tested and is like somewhat safe.
Incredibly tested.
Fucking
Incredibly-
Gen 3 on this
Because,
thing.
dude, I don't know if you guys grew up
Yeah,
with this.
yeah.
I did. Let me explain to you the horror that I grew up with. It was $1 Million Man. And in $1 Million Man, they only replaced one of his legs. Now, he ran at full speed. They didn't really cover what would have happened, which has been that his groin would have split in half the first time one leg went off at full speed and not the other. Or he would have ran in fucking circles the entire time. And so it's like being tested, making sure everything works is high on my list. I don't want to get at beta shit. I don't want to beta test something, right? You don't want to be in the QA section of a replacement leg. That would suck. I think that would be absolutely the worst thing ever. What other questions do we have?
All right, let's see here. Butterball. Now that Dragons Dogma 2 has been announced, do you think they'll bring back the original opening music from the title screen?
I wish.
I wish, but no, they won't.
Yeah. Nope.
No.
But no.
Okay.
It's too good for this world.
What do they do for the anime music wise? Was that J-Rock
don't
as
even
well?
remember.
It wasn't J-Rock. It wasn't very good. I just listened to the opening a while ago. Yeah, it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't either one. It wasn't any game reflection of the game. What else do we got, Johnny?
Next up, Poke asks, I gave up on trying to import a Steam Deck to China and finally decided to put a deposit for another handheld powered by Ryzen 6800U called Iron Loki Max. My question is, do you guys think more big companies will release similar products? For example, Alienware's product UFO that was unfortunately never released.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
throughout time, everything they've always been trying to make everything more portable, smaller, more compact. And I think it's gonna keep going that way.
Yep.
Okay.
What else?
Yeah, sounds about right. Appetit says there seem to be a lot of space survival horror games shown off in these presentations. Is it just a case of parallel thinking, like when movies seemingly come out that have the same premise, or just happy coincidence? We kind of touched on that, right? It's a theme, apparently.
It's a theme, and it is also what they chose to show. Many of these companies had 15 games, and they chose to show that one game. I mean, that's honestly what happens sometimes.
I mean, if you want to make a horror game, space is one of the best settings for it.
For sure. Especially
It's really
now,
just that simple.
it's still unknown. Deep Sea also works. I think Deep Sea and space are two of the...
Yeah, because
Plus-
you're isolated and alone there.
Yeah. And
Plus,
they're
I think
unknown
as-
still.
Yeah. Plus, I think as tech improves, we start seeing more of games that we want for a long time but haven't been possible, like space
Absolutely,
games
yeah.
and shit like that. You know.
And same thing, the Arctic as well. Like the environment wants to kill you, and you're lonely and isolated. That's like,
Streven, $2 super chat. I'd be all in on jumping 20 feet high. All right, man. All right. QA those legs for us. QA them getaway sticks and tell me what happens.
Karak, we need to have the science guy.
Oh yeah, Hill. Yeah. I gotta contact him because he did want to come on the podcast, and I forgot. But yeah, I
Not
did.
Bill Guy. No, Bill.
No, it's Hill.
Bill Nye.
No.
No, it's not.
The science guy.
No, it's not him. Damn it! It's I pimp his channel all the time too. I don't know why I can't. Dude, he's a scientist video gamer. He covers like Chernobyl. He covers the greatest stuff. He's friggin' awesome. I'm spacing his name.
Yeah,
Kevin.
I don't know how I'm blanking on this.
I can't believe I'm
watch that
blanking
all
on
the
this.
time.
Anybody remember who I'm talking about? They're probably like, no. What else do we got for questions? I'll look it up.
Okay. This one from Shadow. What game have you guys played over 1,000 hours without mods?
Many MMOs.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 14, World of Warcraft, League
14.
of Legends.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I put a lot of hours in that. And League of Legends, Counter-Strike.
It's very rare that I mod games, actually. May surprise some people, but yeah.
Kyle, thank you. Kyle Hill. Kyle Hill.
There we go. Man.
I mean, obviously the big one is Tetris. Never modded that.
Oh, true.
Yeah, I mean, Dota. Maybe that's about it, actually. The only game. Maybe League of Legends is coming up on that soon. I don't
Mute
know.
Gang, 50 SEK dollars. I can't remember what SEK is. Best effing podcast. Thank you very much.
The way you say it
Nice.
is you get 50 sex.
They're,
It's plural of sex.
Swedish kroner.
the Swedish currency.
Oh, is
So,
that what it is?
Like I said,
From
like
the
I said
best
before,
place in the
Monopoly
universe
money.
is what Silver was saying.
Correct.
Sweden, best location ever. Because I always fuck up where he's from. What else do we got? Let's move through these.
Next up, we have a couple more, and that's it. Rust says, just bought a high-end gaming PC. What games would you guys recommend? I mean, do you have an afternoon?
No, let's all. We all
must
have
play-
one game that pushes a high-end PC. What's
The
one
must
game from all of us?
play-
The
Yeah.
one game that would push a high-end PC, even if you just cranked up the graphics. Let's not go with an old game. What's a?
I would say Red Dead 2 at 4K.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a really good. That's a
Perfect.
really good example. That might be actually better than my.
That or Flight Simulator. Like
No, you can't. Hey! You're stealing answers, dude. Knock it off. God damn it. That was literally what I was gonna say. Now he said both of mine. I'm
shit.
saying Flight Sim. That dude's a thief. Don't listen to Silver. I'm saying Flight Sim. What about you guys?
Fuck it, dude. Play Star Citizen.
Hey, you know what? It's got game in it now, and it looks. I mean, there are places where that looks sweet.
No, I'm
It
just kidding.
definitely
No. In reality, though, no. Metro Exodus, the RTX upgrade, 100% best RTX implementation I've ever seen in any game. Native RT, fucking play that shit. Yeah.
I mean, I really like Final Fantasy 15 with the high
high-def
HD
textures and
texture,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. And you can drive everywhere. Like I said, I don't know why
Yeah.
that's a big deal to me, but when I first played it, you couldn't.
is, yeah.
And the idea that you can now is great. What about you, Reg?
I'd say Horizon 1.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, Horizon, especially cranked to the max, is a phenomenal looking game.
Yep.
I ride a bike. This is same guy. Mute. It's Mute Gang, but that's I'm sure not how he pronounces it. I ride a job to my work, or I ride a job to my work. I ride a bike to my job every day, and your podcast makes my way there so much better. Again, yes, it's called Krona. It's Swedish currency, Krona. I thought it was Kroner.
Nice.
No, Krona is a Krona.
It's like
Thief.
crown, right? That means
Oh,
crown.
somebody says
Yeah.
Doom Eternal.
Yes.
I don't know if I would say Doom Eternal myself, but Doom 2016, if you crank that, get it to 8K, you could probably slow it down. That engine is amazing in that game.
Oh, dude.
It's ridiculous the FPS
it's
you
like
can get.
the complete opposite of Crisis.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can run that game on an old PC, and it's difficult to run Crisis on a current one or a new one. Yeah. Not as much anymore. But what else do we got, Johnny?
Last question for today.
Oh, here we go.
Darge Knight, with the current
Suge Knight.
favoritism. Yeah, with the current favoritism for remaking classic games, should I carry on hoping for a remade Soul Reaver, even though it's virtually a no?
Oh my.
I'd like to know what games you would like remade. Love the show.
Oh my god, again, this question again. Oh,
We've had
shit.
this question again. Do we have any fresh answers? Anything like that we haven't?
While you guys are thinking, $5 super chat from David. He says, just support and love the channel and podcast. Can't wait for the next Walking the Walk. That shouldn't be too far away. Thank you very much. If you get a chance,
Nice.
watch my procedural generation video. Go for it.
I said this game before years ago, but that was years ago. So I'll go with Gangsters Organized Crime this time, which was a very old strategy game, in which you had to basically set up an illegal syndicate operation in a fictional American city in the 1920s during Prohibition, and you had to like set up bookmakers and whatnot. A really, really solid game, but it had one significant flaw, which was that the further you got into the game, the more it became unplayable, because the game basically consisted of two separate parts. It had a planning phase where you planned out the actions that would be carried out for like the coming week, and then like a real-time phase where those actions were then carried out. And then as your gang members were sort of walking around the city, in the real-time phase, like they would encounter other gang members, and then like shootouts would happen, like cops would come, and then pretty soon you have like every week it was like World War III in the game, because like the gangs kept getting bigger and territory kept getting bigger and like hitting and over crossing into each other. So there was just constant war every single week, and every single week you had just your notifications would get spammed like a gang member down, dead. But it had a lot of really, really amazing mechanics, really, really amazing systems, gave me some of my favorite video game moments. Like I settled a gang war by basically going to the unemployment line, taking like 20 guys, just giving them money and handing each of them a gun and going, yeah, I mean, he's like my rival's headquarters right over there. Why don't you just go kill him? Like, well, whoever's left, you'll get a bonus. And then they just went in there, stormed the entire place, and I think like 3 guys survived, and they got him. Like, and I had like a separate stick-up crew that I would use of elite guys that I trained and equipped with all my best stuff to just rob banks and stuff every single week, to keep the money flowing. There was a lot of really fun stuff in that game, and I would really, really love to see that game redone today.
Anybody else have any that are
I
brand
have
new?
something that will trigger silver. I would like Chrono Trigger being remade, because I couldn't get into the 8-bit aesthetic.
Oh,
you know,
8-bit
recently
aesthetic.
when I tried to
16-bit.
play. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
It's so
it's
far back.
twice the
bit.
Yeah, twice the bits, baby.
Twice the bits. dude.
16 times the detail, as Todd would say.
I know Silver would say it's perfectly playable as it is. I would just like to see it in modern graphics.
Reg?
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, the first one.
Oh my
Good
God.
one.
That would
Good
be
one.
awesome. And with the
That'd be
bugs in
amazing.
it. I mean, not the in it. I'm sorry. The patch in it. Not the bugs. That game was shit when it released. Yeah, that would be
that
amazing.
would be like redoing the Microsoft Store. with
Yeah.
all the bugs in it.
It's brand new. No, it's not. What about you, Abzi? You got any?
So obviously KOTOR is being remade, but one of my favorite Star Wars that has personally my favorite lightsaber combat, and that's Jedi Academy.
Oh.
I would love to see that remade. It had some really, really fun moments, PvP and PvE, where you just fucking go around with your lightsaber and fling it with your mouse and shit and kill people. That was fun as hell.
Did you play the older Jedi Knights? Jedi Knight, Dark Forces, Jedi Knight, and Jedi Outcast?
Yeah, not as much though, but I do have them all on Steam, so I've given them a whirl. Yeah.
Luke Tone, $5 super chat from Canada, so more like $4.55. Shouts from Toronto. Thanks for the no BS reviews all these years. You're welcome. And here's my title.
Hey,
This
Toronto.
is true. And I literally thought it had got announced last night because somebody released a mod for it and I read it wrong. I would love to see the new the old Deus Ex completely remade. Like as I've gone back and played it,
Right.
I just really think that game, with all the tech, because that game had some issues even back in the day, that could be fixed up. Also, Anachronics. Did you guys ever play that RPG?
Yeah.
Fucking amazing game. And I tried to replay it, and it's that bad. Where even with current technology with your PC, you crank it up to like 16 fucking K, and you're like, this is just ugly. It's like cottage cheese, but now more detailed. That's not what I want. Either one of those, both made by Are those both Warren Spector, or am I wrong on that? I think I'm wrong on that.
I think they're both Iron Storm.
They're both Iron Storm, yeah. And but dude, Deus Ex, man, like today's graphics would just be yeah, it would be phenomenal because that game had like the
With the same
fucking
systems,
Statue
yeah.
of Liberty. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, same. And Anachronics, just because that game was
Yeah, I
fucking
mean, just-
incredible as an RPG, space
the sheer
RPG.
variety of the ways you could play through that Statue of Liberty mission.
Yeah, that's the fact is that I remember playing that like 6 or 7 times. They weren't fully different, but doing different stuff and just seeing it, and it's still a little.
and
It's
having
still
different
rough.
consequences from it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, I think it's second or third level when you go to their main base and they're talking and they tell you to leave, and if you don't, you can hear a whole storyline and like a whole discussion that you'll never hear in the game ever again, and just all the different stuff that they played with. I would love
And
to
the
see
fact that your brother can survive the ambush at the apartment.
which I didn't even know until years later. Like, there's a lot in that. Oh, somebody else said Arcanum. That's Steam
Arcanum, yes.
of Steamworks and Magic Obscura.
Dude, that
It's
game is
so good.
awesome.
So
Because
good.
people talk about Torment, and I'm like, guys, just my honest. I think Torment
And
is nowhere
Torment.
near as. I just don't think it's near as good as that game. I think
It's like the
Arcanum
right
is
end.
so fucking unique. Well, it's like we get the evil demon stuff and multi-dimensional stuff a lot, but we don't get an RPG that involves like steampunk. It's
steampunk, true.
and that
Yeah.
CRPG in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we know Anachronics is not Warren Spector. I thought it was. Mankind Divided still looks amazing. It does. Very much so. What else do we got? Is that it? Oh, super chat from Vintage. I wish I could take Karak's beard trimming and put them in a jar and sleep with it every night. $5 super chat.
Hell yeah, baby.
Bro, you
Slightly
can. I'll sell
disturbing.
it like my bathwater or whatever. Didn't that one chick
Oh.
sell her bath?
Yeah, that was bathwater.
yeah.
Dude,
Belle
that's so...
Delphine, the queen, yes.
She's really good at like pushing the edge,
She was
right?
bad at actual porn though.
Yeah, she did. Yeah,
I
that
mean,
is
you
true. She
have-
went to actual porn, didn't she? She
You do
filmed her
have
own stuff.
She was not
Gwyneth
good.
Paltrow selling candles scented like.
Oh my God!
Like
Don't
genitalia
say it! Don't say it!
yeah.
Don't say it! Don't say it!
No,
I don't want to hear that.
no.
That makes me sick to my stomach, man. All right, so
Cum scented
that-
candles.
no, I
Yeah.
can deal with that. That's not what it was.
Oh.
All right. So anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Thanks for the super chats. As you guys know, we don't do sponsors and stuff, so it definitely helps. You will see you'll see a video, maybe a podcast from me with one of the biggest entertainers in YouTube / streaming and stuff in the next probably the next 2 or 3 weeks when we get together to record that. Probably won't be on this podcast, but we'll see. On this podcast, we are now talking to, just so everybody knows some of the people we're talking to. I'll have to get Fighting Cowboy back on. Delrith will probably come back on. I'm trying to get the Iron Lords to come back on. We're trying to get Gav to come back on. Gene Park, but now that he's ill, we're going to push that out a little bit. And then Andy wants to come back on, but also Victor from Darktide.
Nice.
He and I are talking, and he'll be on the channel as well. So that's going to
Hell
be
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of the people involved in some of the games coming on, as well as
We did,
some other stuff.
we did kind of promise Gavin to come back on to talk about Elden Ring, I think. if I
We did.
remember
Well,
right.
that's what actually happened. Is like he hadn't done Elden Ring, and we weren't allowed to talk about it. There's that. But then Darktide Victor wasn't able to say anything, and then he pinged me on Twitter, and he's like, "Dude, now that we can come back, now that I can come back and actually talk about it." And I think that would be fun because we have a personal.
Yeah.
This will be like the 5th or 6th time he's been on. He's one of the super open ones. Plus, we're trying to get some writers on again because that was very fun having a video game
Yeah, it
writer
was.
come on. Oh, and I also am talking to the composer for Desperados 3. He's going to come on. He had watched a review and he was like, I didn't know anybody even covers music. And so we've been talking on the back end. So that is it for us. Thank you to everybody who showed up, gave us the time of your day so that we can, hopefully entertain you. I don't know. Maybe we weren't entertaining. Maybe it's just scary
We
watching
were.
us. Maybe it's
We
like a car
were.
wreck. We were.
We were very entertaining.
Maybe it's
Everyone
just a couple
loves
hundred
ours.
people who fell asleep and
Yeah, they're like we think there's 500 people. There's just 0. They're all asleep or bots. Is that it for us? Johnny, what are you streaming this weekend?
So I'm streaming The Quarry, my first
Ooh,
playthrough of The
awesome.
Quarry.
Awesome.
And I dropped a video today about Starfield and my thoughts, and all that if people want more of what I talked about today.
More Starfield. Go there if you want to complain, because that's all that Starfield's really good for. Complaining about, right?
Hey, any engagement
Just
helps.
joking.
Yeah.
Don't do that,
Thousand
please.
Planets. Who wants to see that? Yeah.
I want one planet with nothing on it.
Yeah.
We've got that before. Spore. That'll be it for us. I appreciate you guys showing up. If you get a chance, check out the procedural video. We're going to be doing more of those. In particular, if you guys see that hit your your alerts, check them out. I don't just do reviews. None of it's good, but I do different videos. That's what matters. That'll be it for us.
Good, and I liked that you're doing like camera on this one. And I thought it actually.
Oh, I got
to...
somebody complaining because they were like, I was way down here. And I'm like, dude, this is the most effort you'll ever see me do when it comes to real life stuff. I don't worry about lighting. I don't worry about anything. People are like, hey, man, you look sick. I'm like, probably.
Hey, I had to do some color correction. All right?
Did you? And then I had to do it again because I added a couple things. And but I'm like, we'll get on it, man. You know how it is. It takes me a long time to adjust to these things. I'm old school. That's it for us, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it
Take
for us.
care,
You guys enjoy your weekend, man. I hope you guys find some good games. If you can't, listen to the starting of the podcast. We cover a bunch. Peace out, everybody. Oh, yeah. Austin Wintory has contacted me. Yeah. Sorry, Chris. He will come on as well. Anyway, that'll be it for us.